I got to pick out the glasses, and then he tried them on and then picked what he wanted from my selection.
That is fun.
It was fun.
Are those the new ones?
Oh, sweet child. You have no idea how glasses work.
I don't. I have perfect vision. I don't even pay for vision insurance because I'm like, why would I?
That's so crazy to me. Oh my God. I need to get freaking LASIK and just be done with it. What if you had really bad vision and you just didn't realize that you had bad vision?
I don't, because every time I get my vision tested, I'm like A, E, C.
You're killing
whatever.
it. Well, when
and
you
they're like, it's like I just want to wrap off.
But when do you get your vision tested if you're not going to the optometrist?
Whenever I get a physical at the doctor.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. I blew .043 this time.
Okay, well,
I think that's
still
probably more like it, but
me.
still winning. not quite .07.
Do you guys want to officially start?
Yeah. Can you move this up so people can see that?
Yeah, I just have to
I feel
undo
very
this.
self-conscious that the Instagram story looks so boot.
There we go. Oh. Welcome. Thank you everyone for being on time to class.
Does anyone have the YouTube pulled up?
I don't.
Okay.
Here, I'll pull it up. Dicey says hi.
Hi, Dicey.
Hi, Dicey. We popped some champagne, guys. It's been a long time since we've drank champagne.
I know.
Probably since last New Year.
Like
New Year's
together.
Eve?
Yeah.
Yeah, together.
Probably.
For night classy was
I don't even know
episode
when.
5th.
Our year. Yeah, like
52?
52. I don't know.
About to be 2 years.
It's crazy.
Maybe we'll go live again for year 2.
Okay, Samantha says hi. Kay Reed says hi.
Are they on the YouTube?
Yeah.
Good.
Hello.
Hello.
This is exciting.
Maybe
Got
we'll
some-
officially start at 7:05.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds good.
Let people get in the
Little
door
soft
here.
open.
Soft
Yeah.
opening.
Work out any tech issues as Alec has been working so
All
hard
day.
at all day.
All day.
I'm actually very surprised and pleased that we were able to start right on time.
It's shocking, really.
know.
I don't know if I've ever been more surprised about anything.
Pleasantly surprised, especially with all the freaking outages we're having in Memphis.
Yeah, most of the city doesn't have power right now, so we're very lucky this can even happen.
Yeah. Talk about privilege, because it's privileged to have power right now.
Mhm.
Okay, it's looking a little like glitchy on YouTube, but still good.
Little laggy.
Little.
We're still there.
Yeah.
As long as we're there.
Looks good.
Yeah, it does look good.
That's us.
That's what we look like.
If you're just joining us, we're waiting till 7:05 to officially start.
Thank you guys for joining. I'm so excited.
Me too. You went live earlier today too. Was that fun?
It was fun. I was just doing my makeup. I was lonely because I was alone.
Okay,
I'm
Lilith.
So lonely.
Lilith said, "Hey, I look forward to each episode. You guys are amazing."
Aw,
Thank you, Lilith. You're
I love your
amazing.
name.
Yeah, it's cute.
It's cute.
Yeah, after teaching, I'm like, I don't even know if I want to have kids, but I like the idea of naming kids.
Yeah.
Maybe that could be a career,
Neat.
transitional career.
There was that girl who made that website. Do you remember that? And she sells American names to parent couples in China who are naming their kid and want an American name for their child.
Vaguely remember that.
And I think she's a sophomore in high school and made $1 million from it.
What?
Yeah.
Why can't I do that?
Genius.
That's so genius.
Because she came up with it first. She's smarter than you.
Okay, what is another very simple idea that I have not thought of? Think, brain,
You
think.
could do the same thing, but for people in another country.
That's true. Yeah. I don't know Chinese names. But that's a good idea.
You could sell Ohio names to people in another state.
Elizabeth, Henry, Libby.
Libby is just a nickname for Elizabeth.
Yeah. There are a lot of Elizabeths.
I had a lot of Katies.
Katie was big. Lauren.
Yeah, Lauren, Kaylee, Kayla, Kylie.
Hayley. Hayley was big I didn't realize how big it was till I got into school and playing lacrosse, meeting other Haleys. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm not as unique as I thought I once was.
Morgan.
All right, sorry to
Anna.
interrupt.
We ready?
Are you guys ready?
Let's do it.
Fuck yeah.
And Kay says, been a while, but I had to drop in for this.
Thank you, Kay.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let me just double check that everything is rolling. Okay, that's rolling.
I look gray on that camera.
I was going to say you look great.
Oh, great.
You want me to boost y'all's saturation?
Maybe a little.
I'm pleased with my saturation.
I want to look like I'm glowing, not like
Kat
I'm
is tan
decaying.
all
What do
the
you think?
time.
I look very pale. It's fine.
I
don't care.
That's me. I know I'm pale. Kat is tan though.
We're keeping it.
It's artificial.
And Hayley, I didn't have time to do the slides, so I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Well, now I won't understand what she's talking about if I can't see it.
It'll make a really great Instagram post.
Thanks. Help me out.
Lilith says her name translates to the night mother of little flowers.
Isn't there like a Lilith, queen of demons, in like mythology? She's like the demon
Maybe
queen.
so. I don't know. I like that name because it sounds very innocent. If she's the demon queen, I think that tickles my brain.
And then Kay says we have plenty of Kayleys, not many Callies. I think I was zoned out in the conversation. Don't know what that means.
Callie might be more West Coast.
Yeah, I don't think I ever knew a Callie, but I knew a lot of Kaylee, Kayla, Kylie.
Yeah. Bailey.
Bailey,
too.
yeah, Bailey is popular.
All right, so I think we should maybe tell the audience that we'll do like comment all the things, and then we will like talk about them in the act break, right?
Yeah. So if you guys are writing comments, you can write comments and questions and stuff, and we will plow through our stories and then maybe read them halfway through during like what would normally be an ad break, and then keep on moving. So if you have something to say, we will see it.
Yeah, and if there's an opportunity for me to break in and say some stuff, I'll do it, but I don't want to interrupt. But all right, without further ado, are y'all ready?
Yes,
Let's
sir.
do it.
All right, here we go.
I'm Kat.
I'm Hayley.
And this is Night Classy, the podcast where tipsy teachers, I wrote tipsy, okay, sorry. Tipsy teachers teach fascinating lessons. What are we motherfucking drinking, Hayley?
Champagne. Pizzolato. Italian. Something. Rosé.
Yes.
I literally, I can read cursive, I can write cursive, but I don't know what this cursive says. But it's very good. We're drinking champagne because it's our 100th episode.
Yes.
It's basically been a century of night classy.
I
That's
mean,
what that means.
Yeah, if you're a dog and a week is a year, or a goldfish, actually.
Yeah, and goldfish years were 100 years old.
It's so crazy, you guys. We're over the hill.
And then I'm sure we'll have another big celebration once we reach our 2-year anniversary, which is
oh my God.
104 weeks. Yeah.
So we only have 4 episodes. This is just too much. Let's pick one anniversary year.
I don't think there's too much. I think that at this point in winter, for me, in my mind space, I need as much lights at the end of the tunnel that I can get.
Listen, I understand that, but it's not like it's not a celebration. It's just there's extra pressure on you to do good notes.
We get to celebrate that because we've gotten this far.
Mm-hmm. Internally, but like you didn't get me a gift or anything, so I don't really see what the benefit.
I don't know. I didn't get you a gift.
I didn't get you a gift, so I'm assuming you didn't get me a gift.
I did not, but we can arrange that for our 2-year. I mean, Tommy and I forgot our 2-year anniversary, so I really hope we
did too.
It was just glossed right over. We
Yeah.
were like, wait, what's the date?
Your anniversary is last month?
Yeah, it was January 26th.
Okay. Ours is like a couple days before Christmas, so that thing is never getting celebrated.
Yeah, you need to do your half anniversary.
Or just wait till we get married and then start celebrating
change it.
anniversaries.
Yeah.
Dating anniversaries, whatever. You're dating. You can break up at any time.
You
It's
should
not
get
that important.
engaged on Valentine's Day, live on Night Classy.
No. Maybe 3 years from now.
It doesn't have to be this year. I'm just joking because, like, for me, a Valentine's Day or any major holiday getting proposed to on that day is just like, I don't want to share my day with Christmas.
But
or
it's
with
Valentine's Day. Christmas, yes, I see you, I hear you. Valentine's Day, no, it's bullshit. I don't celebrate
the holiday. Yeah, that Hallmark made up. We're not getting engaged on Valentine's Day.
Listen, engage me on Valentine's Day. I don't give a fuck.
You don't? Okay.
No, as long as
what about married on Valentine's
What would you rather
Day?
have, a diamond or some shitty chocolates?
I don't want a diamond. I want like a moissanite. Like I'm not trying to.
I want a lab diamond.
Yeah. I don't need all that. I just want it to look good.
Mm-hmm. I want it to be as big as possible and cost not as little as possible, but a reasonable amount.
I'm trying to be affordable, and like I really want
Alex
a circle emerald cut. Oh yeah, I have all these plans,
Tommy,
and like
notes.
nothing is. Yeah, I can send you the link to my Pinterest page.
Okay. Oh, I already picked one out. It's on Brilliant Earth.
Yes, I looked at theirs too. Look at us, not even engaged, and we already know what we want.
Hey, I'm not gonna have a wedding, but I will have a nice ring.
I'm gonna have a party. That's what I'm gonna fucking have. No wedding in sight. I mean, maybe a little something.
Honestly, the main reason is I'm just too lazy to plan a wedding. If I'm not rich enough to hire someone to do everything for me, I'm not doing it.
Hire me.
No.
It'd be fun.
No, it wouldn't be fun. It would be very stressful.
Well, I guess we'll just have to wait until we have any reason to worry about literally any of this.
Right. This conversation is so stupid. This is about
so
the
premature,
podcast, not our love lives.
We are celebrating our marriage.
Yes, our marriage together. It's our 100-year anniversary. We've been married longer than most of you have been alive.
Cheers, bitch.
Cheers. Clink. Okay. So dumb. Well, thank you to everyone listening live right now. This is very exciting. I put makeup on.
Me too. I did it at like 1 p.m. today because we ran some errands, and it's now 7 p.m. when we're recording. So I had to do a little touch up. Probably should have done my blush too, but it's okay. We're doing live right now. If you're not listening live, then just enjoy this, and you missed out. So you'll have to check in next time.
You were not very supportive, and we disown you.
We know.
We're keeping a list of everyone who
We're
joined
checking
this
it
live.
thrice.
How do you say thrice, but for four? Force.
Thrice.
Thrice.
It has to end in ice.
Ice.
Yeah.
All right.
Fice.
Fice.
Suffice.
All right. Listen, I don't have anything to talk about.
I don't either. Are we ready?
I'm just proud of us, and I'm proud of everyone who listened to us. We've
Thank you
come
for standing
a long way
by
together.
us.
Yeah, we don't know why you listen, but we love you and appreciate you for it.
So much.
Listen, I can't listen to myself, so I'm glad that other people will listen to me.
Me too. If that's all, I think
Let's
we should
fucking
get into
go,
it. I know. I'm
bitch.
like a little scared but excited. Okay, so I get to go first because I blew a point.
Chug this giant glass of champagne.
Yeah, that's what I was doing because I was a little nervous to go live. I don't know why I feel nervous. We're just like recording an episode, but people are live.
Yeah, we're sitting in our same spots as we usually sit in, and that makes me feel not nervous.
Yeah, it's more normal.
Yeah. If I were sitting over there with you, it would feel like when we do guests.
Total game change.
And when we have guests, I'm stressed out and I feel like people are watching me. But right now I can't see the screen, and therefore I feel fine.
Environment changes things. That's a huge thing with like people who struggle with abuse. I studied in college. There were tons of studies that showed that people who struggled with like drug and alcohol abuse, if they returned to those spots, even if it was like in their home or in their room where they used to use, there were some percentage, I don't even remember, more likely to use and abuse drugs and alcohol again. And it's just that space.
They told us a similar thing in college when they were teaching us how not to black out drunk. And they were like, if you
they taught you that?
If you get drunk in the same frat basement every week, you can like drink a lot. But then if you go to a house party in a new environment and try to drink that same amount, you'll be blacked out on the floor because your environment changes and your body doesn't like get ready for it.
Yes, right? It's like that tolerance to the alcohol and the environment.
Listen,
So
I can
crazy.
tolerate a frat basement.
I, however, cannot.
No, you're right. No
You're
longer.
a little frat baby. I was not. Okay. Well, anyway, are we ready to go on this learny journey?
Yes, I am. I'm excited.
Okay, let's freaking do it.
Okay.
Friend of not ancient Egypt, already reading words wrong. Friend of the ancient Grecian city of, dang it, why did I not look up how to pronounce?
Friend of the ancient.
Friend, Phyrne.
Oh, that's a name.
She's
Okay.
a woman.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a lady. Maybe you might be able to help me with this Greek city.
Oh, because I know so much Greek.
Thespiae. Not sure. She was born in 371 BC. Given the name at birth of Menazarete, she went by her nickname Fryn, meaning toad, thanks to her shallow and slightly yellow complexion.
Oh no! Does she have jaundice?
Probably.
Slightly yellow.
Can you have jaundice when you're not a newborn?
I
Is
think
that a
so. It's just like
thing? She needs some UV
long
rays.
jaundice.
Well, that would make sense because she kept her body hidden. She dressed very heavily, and she basically, like, from the neck down, she was covered because she was a hottie with a body, and everyone knew it. Despite how she dressed, being very protective over her physique.
Was it sexy to be yellow?
It worked for her. She landed various modeling jobs. She got the
in ancient Greece.
In ancient Greece, yes. Well, we'll later learn that she ended up being the body type that Aphrodite's multiple statues were modeled after.
Okay.
Yes. So she modeled. And she also got her bag as a courtesan. Keeping her body well covered created this mystique and garnered the public's wonder.
Modest is hottest.
It surely was. Her dedication to the cause did not stop with her wardrobe either. She was known to avoid the public bathhouses to keep her body completely under wraps and completely unseen by the public. And I was like, what the hell? Where does she bathe?
She needs to get off her high horse and show
No
some
one
titty.
wants to see your nasty ass. Anyway, it seems from what I can gather that she would take dips in the ocean because she did get in a little bit of trouble for this. We'll get to that in a second, though. Through Fryn's work as a model and a courtesan, she climbed the social ladder while obtaining more wealth and more influence, so much so that she eventually was able to offer to pay to rebuild the Wall of Thieves after it was demolished by Alexander's army in 336 BC.
Jeez.
But the patriarchy was like, a woman's money? How about no? And they rejected her offer. And
She's like, fine, I'll keep it.
yeah,
I'll
I'll go
with that.
build a wall for fun somewhere else. Fuck boys. But Fryn was so much more than a beautiful woman. She was known for her wit and curiosity, and she often went head-to-head in discussions with famous Greek intellects at the time, which obviously got on the nerves of them and other men around her. Many were quick to raise her up for her beauty, but also even quicker to ignore literally everything else about her. In his book, and bear with me, no fucking clue how to pronounce this word, Diepnosophist. That was pretty good. Athenaeus regards Fryn as the goddess of wordplay and practical thinking, but had much more to say about her body, including that Fryn was a really beautiful woman, even in those parts of her person which were not generally seen, on which account it was not easy to see her naked. So there was this weird balance of this recognition that she was very intelligent and she had her wits about her, but she was beautiful, and it was overpowering for a lot of people.
Yeah, it seems like they just don't care that she's smart.
They don't.
And don't want other people to know she's smart.
And they also kind of get a stick up their ass about how she keeps her body under wraps. After a party one night, it's said that Fryn took part in the mutilation of a statue of Hermes. This was a huge no-no since the sacred statues were sacred.
Since those purses cost so much
money. Like, okay, sit down, lady. I know you can afford tons of them because rich out the ass, but chill out. Such disrespect was punishable by death. In addition to disrespecting the statue, Friend was accused of stepping out of the sea naked, which was considered mocking the Greek goddess of Aphrodite because she stepped out in a statue of her that had in front of a statue of her on the beach, and some people were there. So I think that's where she bathed, because generally it wasn't surrounded by people, but this specific incident took time around one of their festivals. And there were some people
she just
there.
got the day wrong.
The whore! The woman who never shows her body is taking a bath in the ocean. So it seems that they tried to make an example of her and slam as many charges as possible to ensure the death penalty. In the trial, Friend is represented by Hyperides. He not only represents her, he wanted to do a lot more than represent her in court. He's like, free of charge. Save a horse, ride a Hyperides. So I don't know how good of a lawyer he was. He didn't really even have much to say in Friend's defense, but he was a man with a plan. And he decided to work to the mindset of the fellow men in the council during the trial. Mid-trial, Hyperides literally rips Friend's clothes off, leaving her breast completely exposed and her nearly naked in front of the council, and proclaims...
Her own lawyer?
Her own lawyer. And he proclaims, how can you condemn this beauty?
Oh my God.
He argued that not only could just the gods create such perfection, but that if they were mean to her, the gods would be really mad. Turns out they couldn't condemn her beauty. All of the judges immediately withdrew the accusations against Friend, and they excused her.
This is called female privilege. # men's rights.
Pretty fucking privilege.
Just kidding.
Yeah, because she was a violent offender and there were so many issues. No, I think they were all mad and blue-balled, if that's even a thing.
They're all just horny. Men are so dumb, you guys.
So dumb. She walked free and was considered the ancient it girl with the hottest bod. The famous artist Praxiteles, I'm sorry, guys, who created the statue of Aphrodite in Cnidus, Cnidus. Man, I
don't know. Don't look at me. You should have learned Greek before you did this.
Oh my God, there's so many words I looked up on how to pronounce this name.com. I missed clearly several of them.
It's not your fault. Greek, you would have to literally learn Greek.
Yeah.
I don't see another way, and that just takes too long. So
basically, too long didn't read. This famous artist created this famous statue of Aphrodite, and Friend was the model for that statue. So that very statue, the city of this Cnidus, wherever the fuck that is, or how it's pronounced, they bought the statue and used it to attract tourists, which then helped them pay off the city's debt. So that was huge. A decree was also drawn up after her trial stating that hereafter, no orator should endeavor to excite pity on behalf of anyone, and that no man or woman when impeached shall have his or her case decided on while present.
Oh, so they can't be horny and not convict people anymore?
Yeah, you can't show me your tits. You can't show me your dick while...
It's not going to work anymore.
Not this time.
Oh, because you're going to be a good juror? No, because we just won't let them flash us. It's not my fault.
She went on to live a seemingly normal life, but she was far from the first or the last courtesan. Do you know what a courtesan is?
No.
I didn't either before this. So courtesans are essentially considered high-class sex workers. They are elegant. They were all genders, but mostly females. And they also were not just the ones who were doing the wooing. They themselves had to be wooed in order to access the benefits they would provide. They were known to capture everyone's fascination and appeared and performed in the arts, whether it be singing, acting, painting, things like that. And like I said, they're basically sex workers with this added spice. They would sleep with fewer men compared to like the average. Let me catch my words here. Compared to the average sex worker. And oftentimes they had just one main person that she serviced, if you will. For all of them, money was not always a factor. It could be to raise them socially or politically, to give them more power or get a better reputation. And it wasn't the main duty, sex wasn't, but it did play a very big role. The courtesans were seen as the aristocrats of the sex worker industry and were often well-educated and well-versed in several politics included, but several topics of the times. They went through extensive training and would attend events such as teas with their benefactors. So there were a couple different types of courtesans. I'll focus on the main two. First one, the women worked for monetary gain, and the second one was for social benefit. More often than not, there was a signed contract between the benefactor and the courtesan. So a lawyer was present, you had your courtesan, you had yourself, and you were putting pen to the paper. And it was this agreement. There would also sometimes be this legal monetary protection written into the contract to keep providing for the courtesan even after their relationship was over. So it was like basically like being a sugar baby, but for a limited amount of time. And then once you were done hanging out with the old guy, you could keep making money because you signed the contract that said he would keep paying you. Courtesans could be passed or recommended from one benefactor to another, but if they were liked, their career could explode. If they weren't liked, it could just go really, really bad. They could be completely exiled, essentially.
And are we talking about this only in ancient Greece?
No, they were popular in the 17th, 18th, and even 19th century.
All in the same area or?
All over the world.
Okay, and
truly.
All over the world it worked the same way where you'd have a contract like notarized?
Not all of them had contracts, but that was a common practice.
Okay.
Not all of them had contracts though. Let me see. Where was I here? That was a very good question. Okay, one fun fact before I move on to the main event. Courtesans working for the social benefit were a lot of times from a wealthy background by either birth or marriage, and they would do this job to help themselves or help their husbands, and the husband would be in on it because a lot of the times the courtesans were having sex with whoever they were in this relationship with, but they would also just kind of hang out and go to these social gatherings. And
they were an escort.
Yeah, essentially that's exactly it. So like I said, it was really common in the 17th, 18th, and 19th century, even up to the 20th century. So I want to talk today about one of the most notorious courtesans of the 20th century. So, Margaretha Zell. She was born in Leeuwarden, Netherlands in 1876 to a fairly affluent father and mother who owned a hat shop, and they made investments in the oil industry. Thanks to that, Margaretha was able to attend private schools until the age of 13, but some of the investments went bad, and her father went bankrupt, and then her mom died.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. The family essentially fell apart after that, and Margaretha went to live with her godfather, Mr. Visser. She decided to become a teenager. She was around like 16 or...
She decided to become a teenager.
Oh my gosh. I'm so nervous. Like it just kicked in that we're
live.
Being
nervous. Stop being nervous. You're fine. You look nervous.
I feel nervous. I need to shake it off.
I'm nervous too. It's okay.
Okay, good. She decided to become a teenager and a teacher. Yes.
As one does.
Yeah, that's when I decided I wanted to be a teacher. Just kidding.
When you were a teenager?
It was probably more like third grade. My parents got me a whiteboard for Christmas one year.
That's cute.
And I was like teaching
I decided I wanted to be a teacher when I was about to graduate, and I was like, fuck, I'm not qualified for anything with this history degree.
We all find our place one way or another. So she thought she was on the same path. She was like 16 or 17 years old. She started her training as a teacher, but the headmaster was very flirty with her. And her godfather saw it one day, and he was like, oh, fuck no. So he pulls her out of the
Good.
training.
I thought he was going to be like, you know what you need to do.
You need to S his D. You need to get that money.
Glad he wasn't a monster.
I think he was controlling in other ways.
Oh, God.
I don't have...
Of course he was.
He was a man in the 1800s.
Yeah.
So she was just pretty much fed up overall with these men in her life trying to make these decisions for her. She was ready to get out from under the thumb of her godfather. So she decides to look in the newspaper, and she answers an ad placed by Dutch colonial army Captain Rudolph MacLeod. He was looking for a wife, and she was a good fit. So they married in 1895 and ended up having 2 children together. Unsurprisingly, this was a huge mistake. Rudolph was an abusive alcoholic who blamed all of his problems on Margaretha. Some sources called her Margaret, but some of them were Margaretha. So
yeah, they're just
it's varied in my notes.
It.
Yeah. Additionally, he kept a concubine, which was common practice for the Dutch East Indies at the time, but Margaretha wasn't a huge fan. So she was she was really unhappy. He was abusive. He had issues when they went into the relationship. And despite having 2 children together, Margaretha did leave Rudolph temporarily and shacked up with Van Reeds, another Dutch officer. During her little staycation, which lasted just a couple of months, she studied Indonesian culture and joined a local dance company. During this time, she also found her artistic name, Mata Hari, and the local Malay language meaning eye of the day, aka sun. Rudolph urged Margaretha to return desperately. It was, the typical abuse cycle. It won't happen again. I'll be better. And I think she mostly did it because of the children. Like I said, they had 2 children together, but at this time they both got really sick and were being treated for syphilis. They contracted it from Rudolph and Margaretha. But when they were born, you can, as you pass through the vaginal canal.
Okay.
That's why they put that goo in babies' eyes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But the family always told people that they were poisoned by a servant, which also...
That's worse if you get syphilis from a servant. Like, that story is darker than just saying there. But I guess they didn't want people to know that they had syphilis.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. But it's also, people wonder if there was some truth to that. Not the syphilis part, but if a servant did poison the children. Because as a captain in the military, Rudolph did have some enemies. And one of their children actually ended up dying. So they don't know if it was from a poisoning or if it's from syphilis or something else. But but one of their kids did die. So some believe that the children were poisoned by one of his enemies. We don't really know. But this trauma was more than enough to officially break up the couple, and they got divorced. Margaretha received full custody of their remaining child, and Rudolph was assigned child support, which he never, ever paid.
I mean, why would he?
He doesn't have to, right?
Yeah.
I didn't even know child support existed.
He's a man in the 1800s. Yeah.
He's got the power. So what he did do, however, was keep Jean, their daughter, during a scheduled visit. He was just like,
mine.
Why would I give her back? I'm not going to give her back. It can't be me. So he refuses to return his child to Margaretha, and not having the resources or funding to fight him on this, she accepted it and moved on, believing that he was a good father despite being a shitty husband.
I mean, what else can you do?
Not much.
Nothing.
Not much at all. So at this point, it's like she's broke. She's probably extremely traumatized, and she just needs to escape her whole life, which is what she does. She fled from Paris to Paris from the Netherlands. Here, she officially reinvented herself from Margaretha Zell and embraced her alter ego.
I thought she was in Indonesia.
No. She studied the Indonesian dances.
Oh,
and
so
cultures.
she like left her home for a while.
Yeah, they were like in the Dutch Indies. So, yeah.
Okay.
She embraced her alter ego of Mata Hari.
Ooh.
And, maybe we'll do that one day with Holly Sancha.
Sounds like a
Claudia
little bit
Severa.
of cultural appropriation, but
For Claudia Severa?
no, for her being Mata Hari.
Oh,
Paris,
yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. But it was the 1800s. So
Yeah.
almost anything went. And she became this whole person. She later said that she wanted to live like a colorful butterfly in the sun. So she had really high hopes. Her willingness to be naked in public and acknowledge, Sorry, let me rewind. Her willingness to be naked in public and her extensive knowledge of East Indian dances made her a very exciting and well-known performer in Paris and other major cities almost overnight. I'm going to call her Mata for the rest of this because she really becomes this different person.
Listen, if we were born 200 years ago and all you had to do to be famous was be comfortable being naked in public, we would have it made.
So much money. So much money.
Fuck that teacher salary.
But also it's like there's this fine line to walk where it's like, okay, I can either be a courtesan like friend and not show my body, and when I do, I get away with it. Or I am like friend and I show my body and I get accused of showing my body, but I get away with it because I showed my body. Or I'm like this person who attracts people because she shows her body.
Listen,
And it's
you're
like,
a woman
snip,
back
snap.
then. You have 3 options. You
What are
can
they?
get married to someone who sucks. You can just be naked. Or you can not be naked, but you're an escort. And
Yeah.
like any of those are fine, but like if you have to choose one of the 3, which one are you gonna choose?
I know myself. I'd be fucking churning butter married to someone who sucks.
Oh,
I was
me
a
too. I have no
colonial-ass
balls.
woman.
Yeah.
But being naked sounds great enough.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
being
do
naked,
it
just
every day in the
dance
shower.
naked. Yeah.
Just dance naked.
It's like right now, like we're pretending no one sees us.
Yeah.
And I'll just be naked and pretend no one sees me.
The issue with being naked is that I feel like I'm not hot enough. Where it's like I could be a dancer. I'm willing
Hayley,
to
first of
fucking
all-
strip. But I don't know if I should even say that.
Someone's gonna take that out of context. Like, did you see they're doing, and not that like context matters at all in these situations, but like people are making compilations of like shitty, terrible things that Joe Rogan has said, like about vaccines
that's all
and about
about.
the N-word. Like he has said a lot of awful things. It does not matter the context. But I'm waiting for someone to go through Night Classy episodes and pull shit we say out of context.
Please don't do
And
that.
It'd be really bad.
Okay, let me go back here and say that the human body is natural. There's nothing wrong with it. Fully embrace nakedness, but also to like make money with it. I feel like you've got to be really hot, and I'm fine.
No, you're hot. And have you met a man? It doesn't matter. Like
I'm
you
not
could
a
look like
man.
anything.
I'm not a man. Oh, I thought you were saying like men look like anything. and
No, like first of all, you're hot, and second of all, like they don't care. Straight men, like they see a boob. It doesn't matter who it belongs to.
fair enough. Fair fucking
There it
enough.
is. Yeah.
Well, good thing I'm a teacher.
Well, I think we've decided what job you're going to apply to this summer.
Yeah, that's perfect. That'll be my part-time work, and then I'll see a parent first day of registration for fall, and they'll be like, "Where do I know you from?" We're like,
Listen, we've run into parents at the club before. It's fine.
what?
I guess not our parents. Remember when we went out to Beale Street that one night and we were drunk at the bar and we're like, we're teachers. And then there was like a group of moms and they're like, our kids go to Shelby County schools. Yes. And then we partied with them. And they're like, we're going to send our kids to your school.
Please don't.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I like recruited them. I was like, this is the address.
Yeah, you were ready. You were ready. We're two different types of drunks, and we flip-flop at the same time too, though, where it's like one of us is very reckless and the other one is hyper cautious.
We balance, like, we know when the other person is being reckless and then we go into cautious mode.
Yeah.
Like that one time where you almost died. You almost got murdered in an alley.
I did almost do that. Thank God
saved
I
your
didn't.
life.
You did. Yeah. Yeah. You all had my back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It might have been the same night.
Let's move on.
Okay.
Love that story. Don't want to tell it. So she was very popular. She would have these layers of colorful robes that she would wear, and she would unveil them one by one until she was almost naked. It was like a Cinderella story.
Have you been watching the new season of Drag Race?
No, I haven't.
You ought to watch it with me. It's so good. But it just made me think of, I think it was in the first episode, one of the queens did a burlesque show and they were dressed up like a rose, and their costume they could pull petals off of until they were naked. It was so
inventive.
Cool.
Yeah, I love that. So she did that. She admittedly was not a great dancer, she said, but at the time she was one of the first / only ones to really shed that much clothing in public.
That's what I'm saying. Like, go back in time. You don't have to be talented. You just have to be willing to get naked.
All you have to do is wear a shirt without a bra, I feel like. Like, you don't actually have to get naked.
You just have to wear a dress that doesn't fully cover your ankles, and you're in, baby.
Yeah, you've heard of the wet t-shirt contest, but have you heard of the wet petticoat contest?
Some wet stockings. See right through them.
It really all went down the drain during the Depression when there were no more stockings and they were just drawing the stocking line at their legs.
And then you get it wet and it runs right off.
Yeah, they're like, what? You weren't wearing stocking this whole time? That was your pure leg? I'm desensitized to human skin now.
My boner is soft.
Is soft, yes. So Mata became a mistress to a bunch of guys. She was popular. She became the mistress to this millionaire industrialist, Emile Etienne Goumier or something. Shut up. Yeah. She also created this backstory for herself, saying that she was a Javanese princess of priestly Hindu birth.
Girl,
but
stay in your lane.
Also, people have, like, drag queens have their little, like, separate
don't bring drag queens into this. You can't claim you're a Javanese princess when you're fucking Dutch.
It was wrong, for sure. For sure, it was wrong. But having an alter ego has to start somewhere.
Yes, maybe not there.
Maybe not there, but you have to learn from other people's mistakes too.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's right, but people also believed her because she did have like an olive complexion and dark hair.
Shit. I was like, she had a jaundice. No, that was the other woman.
That was the other woman. That was the opener. But anyway, everyone believed her. She was this princess. She had lived and breathed Indian dance since childhood. And they're like, okay, I know nothing, so I can't confirm yes or no, so I'm going to believe this either way. And Mata Hari attracted crowds. She was considered exotic since most Europeans at the time were unfamiliar with the Dutch East Indies. So they easily believed this backstory that she made up. She spent the next several years touring Europe and selling out shows. But with popularity comes criticism and copycats. And that's what we're currently dealing with Night Classy. All these fucking copycats.
So many copycats.
Night cats. That actually is cool.
Night cats?
Night cats.
What would that be?
It'd be like a t-shirt and all you'd have to print on it were like the eyes of a black cat because you don't see the rest of it.
That should be what you call the fans. Night cats.
Night cats.
They're classmates. We already have a name for our listeners.
Yeah, but I feel like Night Cats is cooler than classmates.
Night cats makes no sense.
It is cooler.
But you
it
know
doesn't
what?
have to make sense because you listen to the podcast and you know.
Night cats can be my fans because my name is Cat.
What are mine? Bales of hay?
I don't know. Pick something else.
Night hay. Yeah, and when
Hay
I call them,
classies.
it's like the Batman light into the sky, and it's just a bale of hay, and you can't even tell what it is or notice it because it's a bale of hay.
All right, in the comments right now, are you a night cat or a hay cat?
Night hay.
Night hay.
Get it fucking right.
Yeah, and should it officially be classmates or night cats?
Classmates.
Or something else.
No.
I like night cats.
No, that's so. You're just drunk.
I'm not.
I
think
am.
it's
But I've always
better.
felt like classmates is too cliche. Like it's too too
nobody-
much of a common
No,
thing.
it's not. It's catchy, and nobody else has it.
How about learny wormy? I love your reaction. That's cute.
That is
Let's
cute.
do that. Oh, making myself crack up. Okay. By 1910, imitators were fucking everywhere. Mata Hari was criticized for being a dancer who couldn't dance, which she's like, well,
Fair enough.
that's true. But I will show my naked body. And everyone just shrugged and they're like, okay, it works. She took on several lovers, mostly military officers and wealthy aristocrats who showered her in gifts and money. And this just reminds me in college with one of my friends looking at a sugar baby website, and we were like, oh man, we're so close, yet this seems like so much work.
I
Like,
had a friend that did that, and she
seems dangerous.
seems dangerous. And she actually wasn't my friend. She was my roommate's friend. But her sugar daddy like bought her a planner, like an expensive planner, and she was showing it off. I'm like, girl, that doesn't seem worth it.
Is that the bar? Is that
yeah,
the
it's like
line?
ask for a little more. And granted, she didn't sleep with him. They would just text and go to dinner every now and then. So
Okay,
I guess
well,
a
that's
planner might
nice.
be a
Yeah.
fair trade.
Planner's good. I mean, a good planner
Like,
is
I'm not
like
judging.
$30.
I was honestly jealous at the time. I was like, if I didn't have a boyfriend.
Yeah, I mean, it was seriously thought about. I did find other avenues to make money, including the wet petticoat contest. But she's doing really well with this business. And even as time went on and gravity took its toll on her body, she didn't lose popularity. Rather, it was transferred. So before all of this, before like 1910, 1915, those 5 years or so, she was this exotic dancer, if you will. And she still continued to seduce these wealthy men and officers and high-ranking government officials. But by the time she performed her final show in 1915, she had officially become a successful courtesan who was known for her sensuality and eroticism. I think that she really had this ability to get inside these men's brains. She just, I think, knew what they wanted to hear.
She's
And-
like the fancy sex workers at like Littlefinger's brothel in Game of Thrones. Like the ones that
Yes.
are super fancy.
Yes, exactly. She
hot.
would be fucking decked out. I wouldn't be surprised if she didn't wear an outfit twice. She had it going on. I think that she knew what she was doing at this point in time. She entered this whole life in Paris as like, I'm going to be a beautiful color butterfly. Now she's like, come here, honey. Let me whisper in your ear. She knows what she's doing. But also she wanted a different life for herself, you know, as
Yeah.
you do when you're, you know, about to be 40 or so. And with all of her connections to these powerful men and her citizenship to a neutral country during World War I, she was able to easily cross European borders, which raised these suspicions of these government officials as well.
Did she become a spy?
Kind of.
I
She
love
kind
her.
of does. Her reputation as this like free-spirited dancer morphs into that of this promiscuous and possibly dangerous woman. It's like people don't really know what to think of her now. They're like, well, you're not taking your shirt off. What are you?
Like you're old.
You're old now. You're almost 40. No, being almost 40 is not old. But Now,
but being 25 is.
yeah.
I had
yeah.
to check a box on a survey I took the other day.
It's a different bracket now.
Yeah, it was 18 to 24. And I was like, that's me. And then I was like, no, that's not you anymore. And I had to check the 25 to 34 box.
I was in the car today. I don't know what happened after I turned 22, but I've forgotten how old I am. Like every time I think about it, I'm like, am I 23? No, I'm 24. Am I 25? I'm like, I don't know. And maybe that's just old age kicking in.
Listen, it's like burying your memory because of, I don't want to say trauma. That's too strong a word, but something right below that.
Something like that.
I just am very scared of my own mortality. And you all know this. I have a hard time accepting my birthday.
I have a hard time accepting how comfortable I am with my morality. That too. I know I'm fucked and I'm fine.
Listen, I'm going to hell and that's why I'm like scared to get there.
It'll be nice like the beach.
Yeah, I guess
it'll be
I
warm.
do like hot weather.
Yeah, it'll be good. Just wear lots of moisturizer and sunscreen.
My like best friend growing up was super Christian and her whole family was, and her brother was, and I remember telling her brother one time, I was like, I don't understand how hell can be that bad because eventually you just get used to it. And he looked at me, he's like, no. I was like, yeah. I was like 7.
Yeah. Every day is hell.
Like how can something hurt forever? It can't. You get used to it.
Or, and hear me out. It's not real.
Or that. Or that. Listen,
That would be crazy,
I think
though.
if you think you're going to hell, you're going to hell. But if you think you're not, like I think you're like your soul just rests however it thinks it's going to rest. If you think you're going nowhere, you're going nowhere.
I'm going to be
And I have it all figured out.
chilling. I'm going to be in a robe, nothing on underneath, some comfy slippers. I'm not going to be too hot. I'm not going to be too cold. I'll definitely have sunglasses on and my hair done. Yep.
I'd like to be reincarnated as someone super wealthy.
I want to be
That's an
reincarnated.
unpopular opinion.
I want to be reincarnated as your cat, the super wealthy person's cat.
Okay.
Because 8 hours a night of sleep is not enough for
No.
this bitch. I need more.
They say like for reincarnation, you're like you have like intertwined souls and you come back as each other's like mom or sister, wife, best friend. And we're best friends in this life. In our next life, you can be my
You're
cat.
going to own me.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense, honestly, though.
And then I'll adopt Tommy. I feel like Tommy is like a black lab. And I'll adopt him. And you guys can be lovers, a cat and a dog.
You can upload our video to whatever social media is in the next life and it'll go viral. They'll be like, a cat and a dog? Cuddling?
Oh, that would be so cute.
What is Alec going to be?
Alec can be my parrot. I feel like Alec is a bird.
So we're just all your
Parrot.
animals.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Not even like
Well, what do you
want to
be? My husband? You can only be that at once in a while.
You're like, Hayley and Tommy can be the cat and the dog that fuck, and then I'll be this wealthy person with a parrot.
eccentric.
If I were wealthy, the first thing I would do is buy a bunch of animals. So it checks out. Okay, Alec, you can be my horse. I'll ride you.
Hey, they did
Well,
say.
you keep setting it up that they're fucking, and then you keep putting me as an animal.
No one ever said we're fucking.
She said it, which is weird because you're a cat and a dog.
In my fantasy, I'm single forever as a like very wealthy
What the
person.
hell?
You can be my horse.
In my fantasy, I'm single forever. You heard it here, folks.
No, I'm just saying.
This is my last episode.
I'm so rich that I can't get married because then the money would leave the family.
Yeah, and you don't know what their intentions are.
Yeah.
And if you're single, you don't have to deal with anyone else.
And listen, my parents are like, you could marry your brother or your cousin to keep the money in the family. And I don't want to do that. That's gross.
Marry your horse.
Single and I'll enter a domestic partnership with my horse.
Here's an idea. Here's what you do. You marry Alec's ghost.
Okay.
There you
Deal.
go.
Deal.
But Alec, you have to start believing in ghosts for that to happen. So Chop, chop.
All
Get
right.
on it.
What even? I feel like recording this, I'm saying all kinds of really stupid shit because I feel like, oh, it's live. Like, it's going away. It's not going away.
It's not
being
going
posted.
away. We doubled down.
Yeah, this is not good. I'm going to lose my job.
Well, let's keep on going with this learning journey. How about that? So back to Matahari, you freaking attention whore talking about all your animals.
Listen, Alec held up a sign that said cat needs to talk more. So I'm talking more. I'm giving
You're
Alec what
nailing
he
it.
wants.
Sorry, there was like
Alec,
a
you
15-minute
said you
thing where you
wanted
got
this.
nervous and you weren't talking.
Yeah, we were really nervous. I think
Yeah,
we've broken through that
I think
now.
so too.
Yeah,
And so, Alec, if you're unhappy with the things I have to say, then don't tell me to talk.
I made this sign. It says "Cat's not talking."
Cat not, and then that made me nervous because I was like, my notes aren't good enough to converse with.
You're fucking boring.
It's my fault. It's not me.
Just
it's
kidding,
friend.
you're not.
It's friend. Okay, so Mata, who's now in her 40s or almost in her 40s, she's fallen in love with a Russian pilot, Captain Vadman Maslov, who's 21 years old, who's the sugar
Hot.
baby now. He was
Listen,
serving.
you either die a sugar baby or you grow old enough to see yourself become a sugar mama.
Yes, my mom is on the dating sites now. She sends me this picture of this very cute guy who's like my age, and I'm like, go for it.
What? She had her age range set to what?
It's like Facebook dating or something like that.
What?
I don't know how it works, but she got this guy who was like my age.
And he's not a catfish. Not that like I don't think
don't
your mom can
know.
slay, but like
I mean, probably.
that seems sus.
But either way, I say go for it.
Oh,
like
yeah.
even if it's not a long-term thing.
Imagine having a
Use
stepdaddy
protection.
who's your age.
I think it would be great. I mean, we'd have a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
we
it'd be
both appreciate my mom.
Family gatherings would be fun as hell.
So fun. We'd have another person to drink with.
Yeah, why not?
So good. Anyway, she also had her own, her own little sugar baby, possibly. But he's this captain in the war. He's serving the French, and one day they're doing war shit, and Maslov got shot down. He lost sight in one eye and had to stay in a French hospital. Obviously, Mata wanted to see her mans, but they were like, no, you're not French. You're Dutch. You're from a neutral country. Countries might as well be companies at this point.
Listen, Dutch East India Company, Dutch
Company.
country.
What does it mean? I don't know.
There's no way to know.
So they don't let her in. But agents from the French military approach her with a deal. They told her that they would let her visit her lover if she spied for France.
Oh, hell yeah.
Mata was offered, okay, here's something I don't know is how much she was offered. Some sources say 20,000 francs. Other sources say 1 million francs.
Maybe 20,000 francs back then is 1 million francs now.
Could be.
And they
was
don't use
offered
francs anymore.
a lot of money. Yeah,
euros.
whatever it is now. Who the fuck
Euros.
knows? A lot of money if she seduced Germany's crown prince, Wilhelm, and if she got the
Wilhelm.
French Wilhelm. Thank you. Wilhelm. Thank you.
I'm going to correct you on
Finally,
everything now.
You need to come in clutch with these pronunciations.
Listen,
I don't know why you're holding
I don't
out.
know Greek, but I did take 2 years of half-assed German in high
Are
school.
you a history major or are you not?
Listen.
All I do is listen.
Getting a history major doesn't mean you go back in time and learn how to say things. It means you read things and pronounce them wrong in your head.
Fair enough. So she's offered a bunch of money to seduce this crown prince Wilhelm and get the French this important information on the German military. But the thing was that no one else knew was the crown prince wasn't really that important. He was this fuckboy who just partied and drank and hung out all the time. He was a total playboy. No one knew this truth because the German government put out a bunch of propaganda talking about how powerful and how smart he was and how adept he was at leading the military and being a commander, and just put him in this very flattering, untruthful light. Anyone who didn't actually know him believed he was this powerful warrior who was worthy of becoming the next Kaiser. So the French send her to talk with him and get the military secrets. Mata had performed with him before, but she too didn't know he was literally not involved with the military at all. So she heads to Madrid, where this meeting is set up between Mata Hari and this crown prince. Along the way, she does run into some trouble with border patrol, but eventually she makes it while raising some suspicion as to like what she's up to, why she's going to New Spain. But she arrives there and she either meets with another German major or the crown prince. I'm going to be honest with you, not really clear. But she does meet with either the crown prince or a German captain or some shit like that. But she speaks with them / sleeps with them in these sources that I read. But nonetheless, she's a woman on a mission. You know, she's ready to get this money, see her lover, and start this new life where it sounds like whatever amount of money she was offered by the French, she could retire on that and not have to be a courtesan again. So not only is she going to get those German secrets, she's like, hey, Crown Prince, if you tell me some of your secrets, I'll tell you some of the French's secrets. So she becomes a spy pretty much at that moment. She's essentially a spy.
She was a spy already, and now she's like, what do they call
double
it?
Agent.
Double agent.
Double agent. Yes, exactly. And a major for the Germans let Berlin know about this really helpful new spy who was going by the code name Agent H21. The French end up intercepting these messages between the German military people, and they immediately knew it was Mata Hari based on her description. They're probably like, this
hot lady.
This hot lady, her titties are out, she's wet.
She's dancing badly,
but she's well-spoken, is telling us all these things. Some historians believe that the messages were calculated to expose Mata Hari because the telegrams were written in an old code that the Germans already knew that the Allies had cracked. So they think that they set her up. And as it turns out, the secrets that Mata Hari was trying to sell to the Germans was essentially just gossip about the sex lives of the French politicians and generals.
That's useful information. Oh my God, I'm drunk. That's useful information though, because then they can find the mistresses and whatever and get information out of them.
Yeah, I guess so.
And use it as blackmail maybe.
It didn't seem as important as
then she's just playing the game.
Gotten.
She's like, I have information. No, give me the money up front. And then she's like, Colonel French boy is fucking
Colonel French girl.
Yeah.
So whether it's useful or not, the Germans end up firing Mata and telling on her to the French. But the French are like, we're way ahead of you, bro. Before Mata Hari had left for Germany, they gave her the names of 6 Belgian agents, one of which was suspected of being a double agent. So after she left, 2 weeks later, on her trip to meet with the crown prince and seduce him, the double agent whose name she was given was executed by the German military. And they knew then that she had unknowingly exposed them as a double agent to the Germans.
I'm sorry. My brain did not compute.
Okay.
What happened?
So before Mata Hari left, she's working for the French, right? And the French tell her, here are these people who are spies for the Germans.
Yeah.
And we think, and they're trying to figure out if one of them was a double agent. I don't know exactly how the conversation went, but it became clear that one of the people that they gave her the name of was a double agent because she was telling this information of personnel that she knew was sleeping around.
Oh, and she's
in the
telling that to
gossip.
Matahari, and then she's
Matahari is the person telling. She's
Oh.
telling that to like the crown prince, the German.
Don't.
German-
I'm sorry. Everyone listening right now understands, and I'm the only stupid one. So you can. You don't have to
Basically-
repeat yourself.
Basically, she unknowingly exposed herself as a double agent
Okay.
and another person as a double agent.
And then they executed him.
Yes.
And then she's like, "Oh fuck, they're coming for me."
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And the French are like, called it. So that was proof to the French that Matahari was this backstabbing spy girl. They allowed her to return to Paris, and a few weeks later, she was arrested in her hotel room. Her trial began it began in July that year, and she was accused of spying for Germany and causing the deaths of at least 50,000 soldiers, which is conflated.
Yeah.
It's so much.
She didn't cause the death of anyone.
Right. I mean, like, maybe, but probably not.
She was just
really
telling
had
them
gossip.
who was fucking who.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That didn't do shit.
It gets worse.
Okay.
Neither the French or the Germans could actually provide solid evidence of Matahari being a spy. In her defense, a quote from the trial reads, "A harlot? Yes. But a traitoress? Never." The
She
prosecutor
got the same lawyer as the other woman.
Hyperides.
Yeah.
He's like, show them your breasts.
Yeah.
I know exactly what to do. Calm down, everyone. The prosecutor really dove into Matahari's alter ego and used her courtesan/dancer persona as evidence of her being dishonest to her core. And of course, her career as a courtesan was used to cast her in the worst possible light.
Right.
Despite all of these high society, high ranking military men and people, a lot of them had courtesans, a lot of them had
Oh, yeah.
mistresses.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, well, if you get caught, then you're sorry.
right. And she's a woman. She's the one doing the work. So that's demonized. But you can all
Totally.
have a mistress.
Yeah.
That's fine.
You can't be the mistress. Matahari ends up getting assigned a much bigger role in history than she probably would have liked, if I had to guess, and a much bigger role that is even accurate. So what was happening during the same time as her trial is that France is sucking in the war.
As usual.
Yeah. They're really tired. There's a new government under I don't know his name, Gorges Clemenceau. Jorge.
She said Jorge.
I know how to spell Jorge, and I know that's not right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. There's an S at the end of George, and I don't know how to say it. But anyway, things are going terribly, just like my pronunciation. And having her as this German spy on trial was perfect timing for the French government. Matahari became the scapegoat for which all the blame for everything that was going wrong with the war could be placed on her.
It's basically a witch hunt.
That's exactly what it is. And there were so many cool courtesans that I wanted to talk about, but I was like, I can't be a list bitch for our 100th episode. So I really just focused in. 2 weeks in a
Just
row.
kidding. No. Most of it is not. Most of it is not.
I mean, I love a good list. Alec acts like it's the end of the
we'll
world.
get to it.
So there in history, there is a trend of courtesans also being tried for
I'm
being
sure.
witches.
Yeah.
Because they're too cool.
'Cause
People don't know what to do.
Any woman that lives her own life is a witch.
It's a witch.
As we know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Matahari was really held up as an example of what could go wrong if your morals were too loose. She was a nasty, independent woman. She was divorced. She was a citizen of a neutral country, a courtesan, and she gossiped. Mata Hari wrote letters declaring her innocence and regretting that there was really no way for her to prove it. Her lover, Maslov, the one who was the whole reason she became a spy, abandoned her.
Of course he did. He's 21 years old.
He refused to even testify her, stating that to testify for her. So he was like, I don't care if she gets convicted or not.
Well, what was he supposed to do? If he testified, like, everyone would hate him.
Save a life? How about?
Listen.
I guess it does feel like a lost cause, but it was a really shitty thing to do.
Oh, definitely. But, like, I don't even know what she's on trial for. She's on trial for being a spy.
Yeah.
He can't say she's not a spy because she fucking was.
Kind of. Not a spy that should be taking the whole blame of why the French suck at war.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to defend him. Obviously, that's shitty.
It's shitty.
But it's just
I get it, but it's shitty. So the entire trial was this uphill battle. The defense also wasn't allowed, so it turns out even if this 21-year-old lover of hers wanted to and agreed to testify, the defense wasn't allowed to cross-examine or to examine his own witnesses directly. So anyone they brought in as a witness and agreed to testify for Mata Hari's reputation, her defense lawyer couldn't talk to them.
With the prosecution? Is that how the French judicial system works?
Girl, I don't know. That's a great question. That's how it worked for this trial.
Okay. We're going to go with yes.
The prosecution said, without scruples, accustomed to making use of men, she is the type of woman who was born to be a spy. And that's basically all it took.
Thanks for the compliment.
Yeah. Oh, I'm strong.
Yeah.
I'm smart. I can hold my tongue and gossip when the time comes. But they were like, no, that's all we need to hear. And that was it. She was guilty. Many newspapers reported that Mata had admitted her guilt, but that had literally never happened. She maintained her innocence and professed her ongoing love for her adopted home country of France. But none of this mattered. In October 1917, Mata was executed by firing squad.
What the hell?
She refused a blindfold and was not bound.
Holy shit.
Oh,
she's a bad bitch.
She's a bad bitch. Listen to this next part. According to an eyewitness, reporter and journalist, Henry Wales, she blew a defiant kiss to the firing squad before they started shooting.
I have chills. That's amazing. Look,
I know.
literal goosebumps, and we have a camera.
I have chills from your chills. Do you want to hear a little tidbit from his report about what happened? Okay, so from Henry Wales, the journalist, he said, slowly, inertly, she settled to her knees, her head up always, and without the slightest change of expression on her face. For the fraction of a second, it seemed she tottered there, on her knees, gazing directly at those who had taken her life. Then she fell backward, bending at the waist, with her legs doubled up beneath her.
Wow.
Her body wasn't claimed by any family. It was used for medical study. But before they did all that, they decided to embalm her head and keep it at the Museum of Anatomy in Paris.
Okay.
But in 2000, archivists realized that her head hadn't been seen since the 1950s.
Where was it?
It's still gone. They don't know. It disappeared.
No.
Someone took it. Yes, someone took it. They searched everywhere. Once they realized, you look at the logs, they're like, no one has seen this or done anything with it. And now that we've looked for it for her almost 100th year execution anniversary.
Do you think they're just throw it in the trash? No one wants to see this anymore.
Absolutely not. Her legacy has influenced movies, songs, books, characters.
Do you think it was stolen?
I think it was stolen. I think that it's
and nobody noticed.
I don't think so, because she was executed in 1917 and it was just there. It was, in the back storage rooms. There's so much shit in museums.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
can
think
only have
anyone
so many
noticed.
body parts.
Yes. Yes. And she was one of them. Her head remains missing to this day. So that's a little mystery to leave you with. We know one thing for sure. Mata Hari was a courtesan. Baddie.
She was.
That was my lesson. Let me read my sources here real quick. I know that was a long one, guys. Oh my God.
Dang. Hour and 15.
The aristocrats of prostitution, courtesans in the highest courts of Europe, the Cobian history on YouTube.com. Friend was saved by death by her sexy body by Andrea Tapalaga on historyofyesterday.com. The fascinating story of an ancient Greek prostitute who flashed to escape imprisonment by Sal Wright on medium.com, wikipedia.com for Mata Hari and Friend, holland.com for Mata Hari, and new picture emerges of Mata Hari who faced firing squad 100 years ago by Rachel Siegel in the Boston Globe.
All right.
Your turn.
Well, thank you. We're not going to hear from our sponsors, but we can take a little break and read some comments.
All right. Hayley Wexler May just asked, what are Kat and Hayley's favorite lessons they've done? Their favorite, their favorites and the ones that each other have done.
Oh, shit.
Ooh, okay. Hold on. I just made a list of my favorite ones because somebody asked me and I was like, I don't know. I really liked the Edison versus Tesla for mine. For yours, Kat, oh my gosh, I feel like you're so good at picking out
you're better
lesson topics. I don't know.
It's hard because I remember my own because I spend hours researching them. And then I don't remember yours as well because you just tell me them.
Yeah,
but
totally.
I think my favorite of my own was the Patrice Wilson one because I had a lot of fun looking at his music videos and then he got mad at us on Instagram.
Yeah, that became personal. I really liked your Rainforest Cafe one. That one was like, it's so fun to do something and learn about something that's so wild that you think about not every day, but that you see all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh my God, who would have thought it had such a backstory?
Yeah, that's true. I think my favorite of yours, the one that always sticks out to me is the woman in the attic. That was just so creepy. And I really liked it.
Good. I know. Tommy always gives me really dark topics that he wants me to cover. And I'm like, I don't know if I can get into, like, it's so interesting, but I can't do that as often as I'd like. So I'm like, one day we need to create a little sideshow.
I know, it's hard. Like, I always used to listen to podcasts and they'd be like, we don't want to cover a dark one because it's a live show, or like we don't feel like it or whatever, and be like, but that's my favorite. Like, I like the dark ones. I don't care that it's comedy. And now that I'm in that position, it's so hard to navigate a dark subject and be drinking and be trying to make things funny and trying to be sensitive and like not a horrible person about it. That like it's really hard and it takes a lot more energy. So I understand.
But people
shying
like
away
it
from them. People do
Y'all
like
are
it.
fucked up.
I know, and so am I. But like, I like listening to your dark subjects, but I don't like being the one delivering them.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So someone asked what my favorites are, and I think the ones that stand out to me are the German, the girl in the box one.
Another fucked up.
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Every time Hayley does like true crime, it always like sticks in my head somehow. Sweet. And then I think Kat's the Killdozer one.
Oh, that was a so good.
That one sticks in my head as well. Okay, did we answer all that?
Yeah,
I think so.
Okay, cool.
What was our favorites and other?
Sorry, I'm wearing.
It says on Instagram that your lesson ruled.
Thank you. Thanks for sticking with us while we kind of got our live legs, if you will, rather than land legs.
Yeah, and does anyone need to take a bathroom break while we're between?
I
might, yeah.
Because I was going to say, do you guys want to switch it, like go out separately?
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, you can go first if you want.
Okay. BRB.
So Clint Island, friend of the show, our first Patreon.
Hi, Clint.
He asks, are there any lessons you've ever done that you want to either redo or just forget altogether? So think about that, Hayley.
I would forget my Blue Adept I do not want to redo it. I just want to erase that from the record.
Can you rehash that for people that don't know about it?
I don't want to.
Come on, I'm trying to kill time here.
Okay. I saw a visual about Mariana's Web, which is a conspiracy theory that there's something deeper than the dark web. And that made like an okay lesson topic. And then there was a thread on Reddit about someone who claimed they went there. And it was just like a long ass fan fiction. And I was like, it would be fun if I recapped this. And it wasn't fun because it was just some 12-year-old jerking off about how he went on the Mariana's Web.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just didn't translate well to audio.
No, it didn't. But it was really funny to read.
Yeah, but it's still up there, so you can go back and listen to that one.
It is there.
We have Lilith says the longer episodes are my favorite.
Good. That's good. I get anxious when they're long because I feel like when they're long, that means we're just doing a lot of being dumb. And I'm glad that some people don't hate that.
Yeah, it used to be that the long ones were like you guys going on too many tangents.
Yeah, now we don't do as many tangents. We've gotten better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Also, you guys have started in school again, and it's changed how much energy you guys have sometimes.
Yeah,
so sometimes they're shorter
energy.
just because like you guys don't have it in you.
Yeah, during quarantine, we really had a lot of time.
Yeah. Oh, Lana Torres says, I loved Mariana's Web.
Thank you. But did you like Blue Adept, though?
Yeah, that's the next part.
Yeah, part 2 is the one that I have an issue with.
Lilith says, plug the merch.
Plug the merch? Well, Alec, you're wearing our merch.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Look at that.
You guys can get this at the link in the bio on the link tree. If you go to parasaur.co, you can go to the shop there.
Yes, and you can buy what's in our upstairs closet.
Yeah, and a lot of people were saying they want Nightcat shirts and they want learny wormy shirts. So I think we should make tiers on Patreon of Nightcats and learning wormies.
That would be fun. Yes. All right, I need to go pee. Goodbye.
All right, Hayley, someone asks Kay Reed asks, when is Hayley's stand-up special hitting Patreon? Because it is a need, all caps.
Oh my God. Kay and I went to school together. That's really, really nice of you to say, Kay Reed. Wow. Well, first I need to get on a stage. I need to take that leap. It's hard to do things that scare you. I should probably start doing that again. As of right now, it's sometimes facing the preschoolers is a little scary. And that's enough at some points, but who the F knows? It's something I've been wanting to do for a while. I have a ton of jokes, that I've written out and thought about a lot in my notes. So maybe I'll just make a video, say them, and you guys tell me what you think. And then I'll go on stage in front of actual people.
All right. Do you have an answer to Clint's question about are there any lessons you've ever done that you would want to either redo or just forget altogether?
Okay. Yes. Yeah, there was one that I did that has not even been published that I just really shat the bed on. And also, like, I was taking antibiotics and drank thinking that it would be fine. It was not fine. I was way too drunk and just messed up the lesson completely and just trashed it. I would redo that one. It's really interesting. It's on the CRISPR technology of like, even now, I can't explain it well. Maybe it's a future lesson. I would redo my first ever lesson, episode 2, because at that point in time, I did like gender and early childhood. Now that I have a better sense for what the show is going to be and what a light-hearted feel we have, I think that I would frame it differently and definitely take from my notes and like studies I did in college, but also apply my storytelling skills that I've gained through this podcast to do that differently.
Cool. Great answer. So Dicey, I didn't forget you here. I'll re-ask it when Kat gets in, but Dicey asks, how long is your list of lessons you want to do, or do you decide week to week?
Personally, I have an ongoing list. Anytime something shows up that I think could be a good lesson. And it happens a lot of times while I'm researching something already. I'll add it to an ongoing list in my phone. It's pinned. It's number 1 in my notes. And it's in categories because I love organization. It's like history lessons, true crime, science, supernatural, business, pop culture, people, society, and then Christmas. There's a whole category for Christmas lessons. It's fairly long, but after you've looked at these topics over and over again, week to week, I'd say 75% of the time I just go down a rabbit hole to find the lesson for the week. It usually starts with one of my list topics and then goes from there. But I'd say I have like 50 topics right now on my list.
So, Kat, the question is from Dicey. How long is your list of lessons you want to do, or do you decide week to week?
I have a giant list, but I look at it so much that every time I try to choose something off the list, I'm like, all of these are boring. And then I spend an entire day just Googling random shit and going on Reddit and trying to find a topic.
Oh, Alec, you should move that thing in front of the Instagram camera.
But yeah, finding a topic takes longer than researching most of the time.
Totally.
Because once you have it, I can knock out research in like a couple hours, but finding it, it takes so long. And my lesson today is a product of that.
It has to be a balance of it's interesting, it's going to be long enough, it's going to be something that we can riff on and joke with each other about. It creates conversation.
And I'll start researching and I'll write a page of notes and I'll be like, I don't care about this anymore. And like, if I don't care to research it, no one's going to care to listen to it. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I have a lot of random Google Docs.
Ding, 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 ding. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, and then let's see. Samantha says, are you going to bring back the Night Classy University crew necks?
We have those up. Those are still up.
Yeah, I don't think they ever left. I
Yeah.
think they're still on the website. I need to double check.
They should be. We have a shit ton of them.
We've got plenty.
Yeah.
So
there's enough to go around. Hopefully we might be out of like 1 or 2 sizes, but
Yeah, I thought we were, and I did something, and then I found an entire other box of them. So
maybe.
So I'll double check that, Samantha. Nate asks, are there any topics you're interested in covering soon?
Oh, yeah. Lots.
yes.
I don't want to give any away, but
recommendations. I know. There, like I said before, there are so many courtesans who are so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like just I'll give this one away. I think it's interesting. The first dumb blonde was a courtesan and she was actually very smart.
Yeah, they usually are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear why people
takes
thought
a
she
lot
was
of smarts
to be dumb?
Look
to look
be
good.
Dumb. It takes a lot of money to look this trashy.
True.
Yeah.
You don't want to list any of yours?
No, I don't want to list any.
Yeah, it's fun to surprise.
Yeah, Nate, they like to surprise each other each week. And so that's why they're not revealing.
Yeah.
But Dicey says, oh my God, the organization makes me so happy about y'all's like lesson topic ideas.
Oh, yeah.
And
mine are not organized.
Mine are.
Lana says, can we get drunk dives on Patreon a la Wine and Crime?
I know. Wine and Crime does a good job. I feel like when we get drunk, we just get tired, but we can try. I'm down to try.
I think according to how we were last Saturday when we were taking shots, I think we'll be fine. We just have to set our minds that we're doing a drunk dive.
I think it's difficult. Like, it's hard for me to get drunk here because it's like an office building and I'm like, but like if we got microphones and could do a drunk dive at home, I think that would be fun.
Yeah, that'd be so fun.
We've been saving up Patreon money, so hopefully we can buy like an at-home setup.
Yeah.
Also because like who knows if we'll always be in the same city. Like we both need an at-home setup just in case.
True.
So
yeah,
can do that.
But yeah, we're trying to rethink Patreon and add more of Kat and Hayley kind of every week if we can.
Yeah,
so.
and I'm sorry we haven't done a January Patreon yet. That's in the works. Alec is going to do one.
Yeah.
We've been so
everything. I mean,
mental health has been really bad lately. But we'll bring it. We promise. I'm sorry.
But yeah, I'm excited because I think if we could just get in the habit of it, it'll be really cool. So stay tuned for that. Let's see. Lana says, woo! I think I hit everyone's questions. Let me just make sure. Yeah, I think that's everything. I
Okay.
apologize if I missed anything, but y'all keep if you have anything, ask it in the comments, and then we'll do kind of one more round at the end. Is Tommy locked out of that door?
I think he's just chilling on the couch.
Okay.
I don't think he wants to
he's
come
talking
in.
to his dad.
Okay. All right. Well, we are ready whenever you are.
All right. Hello.
Hello.
I'm ready.
We're ready.
We're ready.
Look at us being ready together.
Listen, like I said, so we had snow days on Thursday and Friday, and we were talking in the car. We're like, we have so much time to do our notes. Like, we don't have
no
any
time at all.
problems. Extra time. And so I spent all of Thursday looking for a topic, and I was stressing myself the fuck out, having an anxiety attack because I was like, I have to pick the perfect topic and I want it to be on theme. So I was like looking up like celebrations and stuff. Like I was looking up what happened in the year 100. Like I like was trying so hard to make this like a thing. And then I stressed myself out and I had like 1,000 different tabs open, and I was like, you know what? Oh, another thing I did, I went in my like list of possible lesson topics and I scrolled all the way to the top, and I was like, I'm going to do the thing that was the very first thing I ever wrote down. And then it turned out to be a really fucked up true crime case involving like incest and murder. And I was like, you know what? I can't.
100 cases of incest and murder.
Yeah. And so that did not, that's not going to happen.
Top 100.
And so I was like, you know what, Kat? Just pick something that's the most interesting thing for you that you can research in an afternoon and it'll be enjoyable. So that's what I did. This is my gift to myself. This has been something I've wanted to do for a while, but haven't because I'm like, nobody cares, but I care.
I'm so
right.
intrigued.
Drum roll.
What's about to happen?
Drum roll. The word cemetery comes from a Greek word meaning quote unquote sleeping place. And if you don't know, it's a spot where we bury dead people. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today.
Cool.
It's-
Love it already.
It's often used interchangeably with the term graveyard, but they're actually different. A graveyard typically refers to a burial ground at a church, whereas a cemetery is a totally separate designated place for burial.
I thought the graves were where the graves went and the cemetery was where the bodies went.
What? What? They're at the same
Just
place.
kidding. I'm
Okay.
just kidding.
Okay. Will you pour me some wine? Actually, will you drink this last sip of flat champagne and then pour
No,
me?
you can pour it in my cup and I'll get you
Will
some wine.
you pour me some wine? Thank you.
While you're doing
You're
that, Nate said the D&D episode was so cool on Patreon.
Oh, thank you. I'm dying to play D&D again. That was really fun.
Yeah, that
Yes,
was fun.
yeah.
And he also says the Hallmark movies, and I'm assuming that he said
Yes.
in the Hallmark movies.
Actually, I take back what I said earlier. Hallmark movies is my favorite topic of yours.
I literally forgot I did that.
It was so fun.
Yeah, that's the crazy
Thank
thing
you.
about podcasting is you start to
big
just
glass of
lose
wine.
track of what happened even last week.
Yeah, because it's like on to the next thing
Yeah.
right away.
It's a lot. You're welcome.
You're
so,
welcome.
just kidding.
No,
No.
you're welcome.
No. Okay.
Amanda says cutie gals.
What can I say?
Aw, thanks.
I said you're welcome. Okay. I'm sorry. That was so dumb. Thank you. Okay. Focus.
Whoa, do you have
Focus.
ADHD?
I think I do.
As someone who has ADHD, I think everyone has ADHD.
I think I do when I drink. Is there a such thing? This is very insensitive
it's being
of
drunk?
alcohol-induced ADHD because I have that. You can.
Let's fight about it on reality TV.
Yeah. Yeah. All of The Bachelor. All right. So let me learn how to read again. Okay. From the time of early Christianity, so if you don't know, that's a long time ago, burial was understood as under control of the church and could only take place on consecrated ground, which I don't know what consecrated means, but it's at like a church. Blessed. Where
Did they pay for
Jesus
it?
is. It's the church
But
property.
like funerals are expensive. It was their
No,
duty then.
so they like all people were buried on the churchyard, and we'll kind of get to the different levels of it, like if you could pay and if you couldn't. In Europe, bodies were typically just buried in a mass fucking grave near the church. There was like a pit. They just throw them in there, bury them wherever. They were not marked. And then once the bodies decomposed, the bones would be dug up and stored in what's called an ossuary. And an ossuary is just a small rectangular chest. I think they were usually made out of stone, but they could probably also be made out of wood. And your bones would go in there. It was kind of looked like a brick. And then these would be placed along the walls of the cemetery. They were also placed like inside along the walls of the church, sometimes even under floorboards, just wherever they could fit them, because people died all the fucking time, and then there were more and more of these chests and they didn't know where to put them. They were piling up.
What? Why not just keep them in the pit and then build a new pit?
Because you couldn't just leave bodies in the ground, because there wasn't enough space. They had to constantly be digging them up and taking the bones out.
This seems like a modern problem. We're talking about freaking shooting our trash into space. Like different era, same problem.
Same problem. There's not enough space. And this is what happened to most people. Although if you were a noble or another person of some kind of high status, you could be buried in a crypt under the church, a la Jon Snow. And it would be marked with your name. Remember when they went in the crypt in the Game of Thrones and there were like all the ancestors down there and then there was a dragon?
Oh, no.
Okay, never mind.
Does Jon Snow die?
Haley.
Does he or does he not?
He died in the first fucking season.
Oh,
what do you mean,
does
he die? Okay.
Think of someone else.
Stupid.
The other Snow brother.
No.
His half-brother.
What?
His brother. Jon Snow's brother.
He doesn't have a brother. His brother, I think, died before the series even started. What are you talking about?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
That's the thing.
We need to rewatch that. Anyway.
Yeah,
the back half of this episode's going to get real loose.
Yeah, I don't normally even drink during these episodes. I drink like a White Claw before and then stop drinking. Don't look at me like that. It's fucking true.
Then we're on different pages.
I just drank half a bottle of champagne and now I'm drinking a giant glass of wine. Okay, anyway. If you had a crypt, it would be marked with your name, date of death, and other relevant information. In Europe, this would typically include your coat of arms. Along the line, graveyards with headstones became more popular and graveyards were divided among social classes.
Ooh, mine would say, Hayley O'Madahane, learny wormy on a learny journey.
No, it wouldn't. You'd be buried on the east side with the... No, the east side was for the important people because it was facing the rising sun. And the next best is the south side. And you would be buried on the north side with the beggars, unknown travelers, undesirables, and stillborn babies.
You're a bitch.
Hiring a stonemason to craft a headstone was expensive and only reserved to those who could afford it. Most people were just buried in unmarked graves. The more ornate...
What's the point of a grave if it's unmarked? Just don't do anything.
Where else are you supposed to put the body? They're just burying bodies.
Exactly. Why do you...
It's not a grave. It's just like...
Oh, so
they're just burying them.
Okay.
There's no grave if there's no headstone. You don't know where they're buried.
Just a headstone with nothing on it.
No,
I thought they couldn't afford to engrave it.
There's no headstone unless you're rich. Then you have a headstone, and feel like the better it looks, the more wealthy you are. Obviously,
I'm sorry. Yes, that was very stupid of me. Under normal circumstances, I would not.
Listen, Alana, this is a drunk dive. Those who could not afford a headstone would place a religious symbol on the grave. It was usually made of wood, so they'd basically nail two sticks together. This is a cross, and stick it there. Obviously, wood deteriorates. It does not last forever, so some people would commission a blacksmith to make a metal cross for the grave. This is all in Europe. And then colonists came and violently colonized the Americas, and they took with them their burial traditions, like they did. Puritans in New England kept burial very simple. They liked to be simple. The body was wrapped in cloth. A bell was rung, so they'd ring this bell, and then that would signal to the town people that someone was being buried, and they had to come, and they would...
is just giving me skeletons dancing in the street saying, ring my bell.
What are you talking about?
That's a song, right?
I don't know. What?
Okay, never mind.
Okay.
I won't contribute anymore.
No, you can contribute. Are you referencing something?
No, it was saying like you said that when people were buried, they would ring a bell. And that made my brain go to a place where there are skeletons, because they're dead, in the street dancing and they're singing.
Okay,
Ring my bell.
sure. Yeah, that's what happened. And so all the skeletons would come and they'd be snapping, and it was a real Broadway situation. This was typically like in the middle of town at the church where they were burying people. They would all together read a prayer. It went, ring my bell. And they were all snapping. And then the body would be buried without any kind of marker. It wasn't like how we think of graveyards today. They just bury them. People died really frequently, so a lot of time and resources couldn't be designated for everyone. And colonists also didn't want the indigenous people to know how many of them were dying because they didn't know how to take care of themselves in this quote unquote new world.
It's almost as if you shouldn't have come.
Right. Go back. Too late. Sorry. That's terrible. No,
Dear
like, but
ancestors.
Yeah, they just
really fucked up.
Yeah, they did. They should not have come. But anyway, the Puritans like didn't care about the body. They were super religious. They thought the soul was already in the afterlife, so they didn't like really put much care into the body or the grave. Yeah.
To me.
And this kind of burial in churchyards worked for a while, but it was not sustainable. As the population grew, these spaces became overcrowded with the dead. Bodies were being piled up on top of each other. It was causing odor and outbreaks of disease. Grave robbers and animals were also a problem. They would be digging people up.
How many problems have to come up before you're like, maybe we should change this?
Right. Maybe there's a better way, but
for me, it'd be at the odor, I think.
Yeah, definitely the odor, definitely the disease.
Long before disease.
Yeah, like imagine burying so many people, or like it's just like literally go back. Like so many of you are dying.
Back. Yeah. Did this happen in Europe? Oh, it didn't?
Well, it also happened in Europe because whole thing is if you were only burying people on consecrated ground, churches only have so much space. So the churchyards were being overcrowded. And if you recall, this is a lesson on the history of cemeteries. So we're going to come up with a solution eventually. But for now, the churchyards were overcrowded. Floods were also a problem. So water would wash the remains out of the ground and bring them up into the town sometimes.
You're telling me that's not the setup for a zombie dancing scene? That's literally Thriller.
Anything can be a zombie dancing theme if you want it to be, but I'm saying that didn't really happen. But you can imagine it in your head. Okay, that's fine.
Hypothetically.
You can do that. By the late 1600s, wealthier families began commissioning grave markers. And also, like, not everyone lived in these townships anymore. So those with property who were moving out were just burying their dead in family plots on their own land. Then in the 1800s, the concept of a quote-unquote good and a quote-unquote bad death emerged. Before this, I think people were just dying and death was everywhere. But now you had a good death, which is from sickness or old age. You're surrounded by family and witnesses, maybe even a religious leader that can guide you into the afterlife. Whereas a bad death is sudden and due to some kind of accident. Along with this concept of good and bad deaths came the concept of good and bad burials. A good burial was in a churchyard or a burial site, while a bad burial was hasty and unmarked, for example, on a battlefield. Also in the 1800s.
So many obstacles. Why do you have to qualify your death or your burial? You know? I know you're not the one qualifying it, but
it makes sense, though, and I think it's kind of crazy that these concepts were only just emerging in the 1800s. It really shows how far we've come because these ideas are very prevalent nowadays. It's like, who would want to die in a car wreck? Like, you want to die of old age, surrounded by family.
The way I interpreted it from what you were saying is that they were judging people for how they had died, not that the death itself
I don't think they're
bad.
Judging people. It's not like you're a bad person, so you have a bad death. It's like,
they died too young.
Death, yeah, they died too young. Like, death isn't quite as just everywhere as it was like a century before.
Okay.
And the same with burial. It's like you want to honor your family by giving them a good burial. And I mean, that's a concept that's been around since the beginning of time. But I think in the Victorian era, like people became obsessed with funerals and that idea really like took hold. So around this same time, the cemetery movement began. Like I said earlier, churches lacked the space and the resources to be the only burial grounds. So in the 1830s, government municipalities took over and began buying fields on the outskirts of cities, specifically reserved for burying the dead. Before this, it was only churches, and no one could conceptualize like a mass burial ground besides the church. But the churches just didn't have the space. These cemeteries tended to be pleasantly designed green spaces with statues, headstones, and landscaping. And keep in mind, this is a time before public parks, before there were many museums or botanical gardens. So that meant that cemeteries were often the only tranquil outdoor spaces for people, especially those living in cities, that they had access to.
Wow. In a past life, I must have been one of the people who went to a cemetery to get some fucking peace and quiet.
And that's what people did.
Because I love a good cemetery.
Yeah. And like now cemeteries are nice, but back then there weren't public parks. So this was your only option. Going for strolls and picnics in cemeteries became a really fashionable thing to do. It was just like, oh, it's Saturday. Like, let's go have a picnic in the cemetery.
And that's how goths were born.
Basically, yeah. I mean, everyone in the Victorian era was basically a goth.
Yeah.
And so they were just hanging out in cemeteries. They treated them more like parks than anything else. There were even things like races and baseball games that would be held at the cemetery. And contributing to this attitude, because, I mean, they were treating them very cavalierly. Like, it wasn't somewhere for mourning. It was somewhere where you could just go enjoy your time. Adding to this was just the attitude around death. In the 19th century, death was extremely common. Like, there were epidemics. There was a high infant mortality rate. Women died in childbirth. There was just death all around you. So it wasn't treated as this dark, taboo topic like we view it now.
Death.
Yeah.
Sit up, death. Stand up, death.
Yes, people were more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
It was viewed almost more like, quote unquote, a gentle sleep rather than something traumatic. Visitation was also accepted and encouraged. People felt like it was a way to keep your loved one as a visible part of the family. But of course, people are monsters and we ruin everything good. So having picnics and hanging out at cemeteries made messes and litter and vandalism. And so cemeteries started banning public gatherings and or consumption of food. They're like, this is no longer your party space.
That's rude.
I mean, rude on the people that were leaving garbage there.
Yeah, rude. Yeah, okay. Yes. Go on. I from what I understood, the way I interpreted it was that, is everyone leaving trash? Is everyone creating vandalism?
I mean, probably not the people who are visiting their loved ones, but like even people who didn't have loved ones buried in the cemetery, this was where they went to have a fucking barbecue. Like this was just where it was at. So that being said, cemeteries started banning these kinds of recreational events, and that's why we have public parks. Public parks today are a direct result of the cemetery movement and people realizing their desire for green spaces after having been banned from cemeteries.
Wow. You would think that being in a cemetery and realizing that life is short and I'm going to die soon is what made you realize that you needed a park in your life rather than, you can't be here anymore. Take your barbecue somewhere else.
One would think, but like literally knows. Like, I just want to sit on the grass, and if there's dead people under the grass, so be it. And then I'm going to leave my Pepsi can, and now I can't be here anymore. So I'm going to do it in a public park.
There's probably dead people almost everywhere.
I'm sure.
Almost.
At least dead animals.
Right?
Yeah.
Dead things.
Dead things. Cemeteries these days are generally less landscaped and attractive as the original cemeteries, and they typically attract fewer visitors. Of course, people still go for walks in cemeteries, but it's not somewhere like you go to a cemetery, it's not crowded. There's not a lot of people there having fun. That's not what it's meant for socially anymore. People these days are also more disconnected from death, as it now typically takes place outside of the home, so you feel less compelled to visit a loved one's grave. You don't feel as, you're like, they're dead. Like, I don't feel as connected to them anymore. And obviously there are exceptions, and this varies culturally. But I think, like, at least in the United States, most of us don't feel like going to a grave regularly adds to your relationship as much as it did back then.
Yeah.
Just generally speaking, of course, it's going to vary for everyone. And now, like with cremation and things like that, I don't think it's as prevalent. But now we also have the option of public parks to have picnics in, so we don't have to go to cemeteries as much, at least if you're someone with access to a public park. And with this history of cemeteries in mind, how we used to just go hang out there and it was no big deal, why do we find them so creepy? I found an article called, it was from How Stuff Works, and it was called What Makes Graveyards So Scary? I was going to explain this article, and then I realized there's no reason to explain it because
the dead bodies.
Yeah, literally, it was like 6 pages long, and I can summarize it in one sentence, and that's that it makes us confront our own mortality, and we don't like that. But in some cases, people really do suffer from what's called Coimetrophobia, which is the fear of graveyards. And this term is not to just be thrown around. It's reserved only for extreme cases where the fear adversely impacts someone's life. For example, where like if they can't drive past a cemetery or hear anyone talking about it without having a panic attack.
Did you ever hold your breath when passing a cemetery so that your body didn't become possessed?
Yes, and I will talk about it. We'll talk about some graveyard superstitions. But the reason I think cemeteries are so scary is because they're haunted as fuck. And whatever publication this came from, let's see, howstuffworks.com didn't have the balls to say it, but I will. They're full of ghosts.
You think they're haunted as fuck?
They're haunted
in a good way or a bad way?
It's always a good way. It's always a good way.
Yeah, I was going to say, surely not bad.
No.
Or else we were about to fight live for 100th episode.
Listen, I love a good ghost, and according to the internet,
I thought you were going to say you love a good fight.
I also love a good fight.
Me too.
We can fight if you want. Just pick something that we disagree on. According to the internet, the most haunted U.S. cemetery is St. Louis Cemetery No. 1 in New Orleans.
Hey, I've drove past there because it wasn't open.
Yeah. It used to be open for people to just walk through, and then people were vandalizing it. So now you have to get a tour.
We drove past the first one and the second one, and we tried to go for the tours, but we went on Memorial Day weekend and kept putting the tour off to do other things. We're like, we'll go Monday. And then Monday came and it was fucking Memorial Day.
That has to be your priority, is the cemetery tours in New Orleans.
You have not been to New Orleans.
I have
in
not.
May, when it's hot as fuck. There's a million people around. It's COVID,
But
priorities.
The number one thing to do in New Orleans, I feel, is the cemetery tour.
Well, we didn't. We failed.
We did fail.
I need to try again because I would really like to go.
Yeah, we need to go.
Chilling to drive past it even. I'd love to go in.
Bet, because it's haunted as fuck. It was established in 1798, and it's one of the oldest cemeteries in the city. It's home to 700 tombs, and there are 100,000 bodies buried in this one cemetery.
Excuse me, bitch? Are they just piling bodies in the tombs on top of each other?
They used to just be throwing bones in the ground, and also they're buried, a lot of them are buried like NOLA style, which is in these above ground burial tombs.
I think they all are, right?
I think some of them are underground and some of them are like in these tombs, and they can just like stuff them full if you have to.
Fuck, surely after Katrina, any of the ones who were buried in the actual ground washed up and went away, because that was so
That's
common.
true. Maybe
to
they're
see
all buried above
at
ground.
this point, probably by now. I doubt there are any left in the ground.
Dicey says the nighttime ghost tour in NOLA was one of the best experiences of my life.
I fucking bet. I want to go so bad. I know. We need
to go with you.
Let's just go spring break. Let's go.
Okay. Let's go.
Also, just while I'm reading these things, we had Hayley said petition for another DTK Drinking the Kool-Aid Night Classic crossover. And since Amanda was in the thread, she had earlier said we get turned up during our episodes, so we get it. And then Drinking the Kool-Aid, I said, Drinking the Kool-Aid, want to do another one? We do. And Drinking the Kool-Aid said, always.
Yes.
Love
that
them.
was so fun. It's been like
fun.
over a year.
I know.
Since we collabed with Drinking the Kool-Aid, which is
I want to hang out with them
crazy.
in person.
I do too.
That'd
So let's take a road trip down to New Orleans, pop over to California,
Let's
go
have
to Seattle.
Let's have Drinking the Kool-Aid meet us in New Orleans. I feel like that's their vibe.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That'd be really fun.
cool.
Amanda, you down? All right. So this graveyard is known to be extremely haunted, even by some high-profile ghosts. One of the bodies buried there belongs to Marie Laveau, also known as the Voodoo Queen.
Okay.
And I'm not going to go too deep into her story because she will make a great lesson for another time. I'm definitely going to talk about her eventually. But what I will say is she was very skilled at voodoo and used it to help her community, making her a super well-loved, prominent figure. She died in 1881 and was buried in the St. Louis Cemetery No. 1. People claim to see her spirit in the cemetery even today. On her tomb, you can see 3 X's left by people who needed her help. According to legend, if you place an X on her tomb, then spin around 3 times, knock on the tomb, and yell out your wish, she will grant it. And once your wish is granted, you're supposed to circle the X and place an offering at the foot of her tomb in thanks.
Who the fuck made this up?
I don't know. And also, like, don't do that because that's vandalizing.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
But that's what the legend says. And while she was known in her life for being sweet and helpful, her spirit can be a little spicy.
As you should be in
right?
the spirit realm.
You can do what you want in the spirit realm.
I mean, as an old person, I'm going to be spicy.
Yeah.
I'm not that spicy. I can be if I'm in the right mood. But as an old person, I'm going to do whatever I want.
I don't like being spicy. I feel like as a teacher, I'm a bitch all day, just like trying to keep order. And not like I'm mean, but like you just have to like keep a hard exterior.
Yeah.
And I don't like doing that. I like to be chill.
I know that I like to argue for fun. And I also know that if I think I'm right, I'm going in.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
I'm sometimes too unfiltered. So I think that
But do you actually like fighting? Because I think I like fighting, and then I get in an actual fight and my heart rate goes crazy and I get so anxious and it's actually not fun.
I don't like to fight. I like to argue or to debate.
But then when someone refuses to see your side, doesn't that just make you want to scream and cry?
Yeah, when I feel unheard or unseen, but also I do like a challenge.
Okay.
I do like figuring out how I can get them to see this side and to be heard.
I think I like debating when it's in like a good spirit. But have you ever gotten to a drunk argument with someone else who's drunk and you're like, you are being so stupid that it's making me so mad?
Yes.
And also I'm drunk, so I can't properly articulate my thoughts.
Yeah.
And it just becomes the most frustrating thing.
And then
in
on
the whole
top
world.
of that, being like empathetic to the point where you're like, I see how you don't see what
I don't know that.
Or like wishing better for that person because like, you're being so dumb right now and you don't even know that you're being so dumb right now, and I just thought you were smarter.
No, my brain just gets taken over with hatred when someone disagrees with me.
My empathy will sometimes kick in and it makes me weak.
You're very empathetic, which is why I'm surprised that you like fighting.
I like debating. Fighting and debating are different.
Okay.
I like the perfect situation for me would be back in AP government where we were debating for fun. Like, I should have been on a fucking debate team.
They gave us the most fucked up things to debate in AP government, and I do not want to go back to that place.
We had to defend this, like, homicide person in a trial, and we won miraculously.
Yeah.
And I remember I was facing my high school boyfriend, and he was on the other side, and it was like, I mean, everyone knew we were dating, and it was just very awkward. There's a lot of sexual tension, if you no, not really, but I mean, tension.
They made us, at least that's something where you can be like a little bit removed. They made us debate abortion in AP Gov, and that is not something that you should be debating in a public school with your peers, and it led to a lot of feelings.
So? I think that right now in the
so.
time we were in high school is the perfect time to.
Because I think there's one side of that argument that you should not entertain. And that's just my opinion.
Kat's on the liberal side, by the way, if you're just tuning in.
Yeah.
I agree completely. But the reason why I think it should be debated is so that people who are on that side can be exposed.
Yes, I see you. But then there were people on the other side who were like crying. And then there were people on my side, including myself, that were getting extremely angry. And it did, like, I feel like high schoolers maybe just are not emotionally ready to have that conversation. Anyway, this is not for this podcast. So let's see. Her spirit was spicy. Visitors.
Sorry, I went to the bathroom and then you guys getting back on track is funny.
Yeah, Alec left. I don't think he's ever left mid-recording before. And then our conversation got really off the rails. I guess we desperately need him.
I've never had 2 beers and then gone in a 2-hour recording, so...
This is the longest recording ever, and my neck hurts. Okay.
But what did you say? The ghost was spicy?
She is spicy. Her spirit.
Her spirit was spicy.
Those who voice their disbelief of voodoo have been pushed, scratched, and even thrown to the ground near Laveau's tomb.
Good.
Right. They serves them right. Another notable figure buried there is Henry Vigness. And Henry was a sailor and a nomad who stopped in and stayed at a boarding house in New Orleans. Before setting sail again, he asked the boarding house owner to hold on to some documents for him until he returned. These documents contained the deeds to his family tombs, and while he was away, the owner sold the tombs, leaving Vigness with no family plots. So he lost all of that.
What a bitch.
I know. Shortly after Vigness returned to New Orleans, he found out what happened. He was upset, and then he got very sick. He ended up passing away, and because he no longer had his tombs, he was buried in an unmarked plot at St. Louis Cemetery No. 1. And I think that's actually very lucky because nowadays these plots sell for $40,000. So he got himself a little deal.
How do they even have plots? There are plots left over to sell?
I mean, bones aren't that big. Just
stack them?
Stack them.
Oh, okay.
I guess. I don't really know.
Because, I mean, that shit is tight.
Yeah, it's tight, but apparently you can still buy space. Maybe, like, they want to cremate you so you take up less space. I don't know.
Yeah, put me in a little jar. That's what I want.
Just a little jar. Stick me in there.
Yeah.
Don't let anyone take me.
Glue
it. Super glue it down.
Here's what I want. I want to play Russian roulette. Me versus the spices in your cabinet. Who's going to win?
What?
Is it salt? Is it pepper? Is it Hayley? We don't know.
Listen, I'll mix some red chili flakes in with your ashes, and I won't know the difference.
That's what they mean by spice of life.
Bitch, I would love to eat you.
It's not an exciting adventure. Yeah, you are what you eat, so.
Hey, I'll take it.
Tread with caution.
Henry Vigness is still one of the most active ghosts at the cemetery. Visitors report a man with blue eyes who asks them where the Vigness tomb is. He's also been caught on camera several times saying, "I need rest."
Me
Same.
too.
Yeah. Another active ghost there is named Alfonso, and not much of anything is known about his life, but visitors of the cemetery have reported a man taking their hand and asking them to bring him home.
Oh,
which is creepy.
Also, it's interesting that his name is Alfonso. than Alfonso, just knowing the Spanish language.
Yeah, it ends in an E.
Oh, Alfonso.
Alfonse. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, from what I know.
Yeah. I mean, you know Spanish. I don't.
Well, I mean, not so great anymore, but I
I.
love that name like
Alfonso.
so much. Yes.
Yeah, it's a good name. This is my favorite part of the whole lesson. His ghost has been seen walking through the cemetery, collecting flowers from other graves and putting them on his own.
What are you gonna do? Knock at your own flowers?
It's so sad. He just wants people to leave flowers on his grave, and no one does, so he has to take things into his own hands. We don't know how he died, but people speculate that he may have been murdered by a member of the Pinhead family.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I know.
Like from SpongeBob?
Yes.
Pinhead Larry?
Pinhead Larry. When you approach Pinhead Larry's tomb, Alfonso sometimes appears and warns you to stay away.
But where's Dirty Dan?
Maybe that's Alfonso's other name.
Yeah. Dirty Alfonso Dan.
Yeah. I'm going to end this lesson as a little bit of a list bitch and talk about some cemetery superstitions. In England and North America, you're not supposed to leave a grave open overnight, and that probably has a practical purpose so that no one like trips and falls in a grave.
Or steals your jewels.
But if you do leave a grave open overnight, it's supposed to bring more death to the community. But ironically, walking by or near or standing inside an open grave is supposed to cure common illnesses like toothaches, boils, and incontinence. So Hayley, I think we should take you to an open grave.
Yeah, it works kind of like a vaccine where you're exposed to all of those things by being near a dead body and breathing the same air.
It's good for you.
You know what? In our next life, where you're some empress and I'm your cat, I'm gonna eat you when you die.
I'm okay with that. I don't care what happens to me.
You
when I
don't
die.
care about being single and alone. You're gonna die. I'm gonna be hungry. I'm gonna fucking eat you.
You know what? You have my blessing.
You have my blessing to eat me as a spice.
Thank you. That's what I'm going to do. Like you brought up earlier, we all know you're supposed to hold your breath as you pass a cemetery, and this is so you don't accidentally breathe in someone's soul. And you said earlier that it's so you don't become possessed, which is the same thing as breathing in someone's soul. And I didn't know that. I didn't know why you weren't supposed to hold your breath.
Yeah, I only stopped doing that. I think consciously, I'm sure it was before, but consciously, I only stopped doing that right when I graduated college. The dealership that I went to buy my car at was right near a cemetery. And I was like, oh my God, I'm test driving a car. I can't hold my breath and pass out.
Oh my God.
So I didn't hold my breath. And I don't know when I like.
Now you're possessed, right?
I mean, it's why we're friends. It's why we knew from like spot on. I knew that we were going to be friends.
Yeah.
My devil told your devil sitting by the fire.
I never held my breath for a cemetery, so I'm probably full of ghosts.
Yeah, you were ready.
I'm ready. There's a tradition to place coins on the eyes of the dead, and this originated in ancient Greece and Rome when people would place coins on the eyes and mouth of the deceased.
All I see is money.
This was supposed to be payment for the ferryman Charcone, who would guide them to the afterlife. And without payment, they wouldn't be able to get to the afterlife. So that sucked.
Rip off.
It also served a practical purpose, though, because these coins held down the deceased person's eyes until rigor mortis set in.
There you go. That's why. That's why you got to sprinkle it with a little bit of fantasy.
It was once believed in Europe and North America that if wildflowers grew on a grave, that meant that they went to heaven. But if weeds grew, that meant they went to hell. And if a red fern grew, that meant they're a dog. Where the red fern grows, anyone?
God.
No?
Tough crowd.
No, I thought that was just an additional fact.
That was my joke.
Okay. You're getting weeds. For sure you're getting weeds.
I know. In many parts of the world and across many cultures, pregnant women are discouraged from attending funerals or visiting cemeteries. That's for a lot of reasons. People think it might cause a stillbirth, or that evil spirits will take the baby's soul. But there's a less superstitious concern that it will cause the mother too much emotional stress.
That's fair.
Which, yeah, I mean, she can decide for herself, obviously, but it would be like stress can sometimes like extreme stress has adverse effects on babies.
I mean, and just people.
Yeah,
People who aren't pregnant.
Yeah. Let's see. Headstones weren't always positioned at the head
dead man's headphone. The headstone.
Right. Headstones by Dr. Dre weren't always positioned at the head of the grave. In Europe in the 1500s, they were laid over the grave at the feet. And this was to keep the dead from rising up because, as Christians, you're supposed to rise for the resurrection, but people were worried that they'd do it too soon, like before Jesus came down.
They're like, whoa. Hold your horses, man.
Yeah, let's just do this just in case. And in some extreme cases, corpses' feet were even cut off to prevent them from standing up. And it's in that case, what are you supposed to do with the resurrection?
Wait, yeah, what is it? Is Jesus gonna come back or is he not real?
I don't know, Hayley. I don't know.
I mean, I guess he was real, but is he gonna come back from the dead?
I don't know. It depends on what you believe.
Do you need your feet in the afterlife or do you not?
You know what? If there's a resurrection, you don't have skin. It's just your bones. I don't know.
The only thing resurrecting
if your feet are really gonna help
is these bones.
This is so stupid. I'm
At
so
this
sorry
point,
to everyone who...
If you're resurrecting, you don't need skin. You don't need muscle.
Right. You're
beyond reality.
You won.
You won.
I have one more, and then we can...
Can we make it through? I
we
don't
can,
know.
We can have a drunk drive. Later, not later, I can't fucking read. Lastly, in Hawaii, it's believed that if you point at a graveyard or at a tombstone, a spirit will latch onto you and never let go no matter what. So
I would.
Don't point.
I would.
It's rude.
As soon as somebody points at me, like you're doing right now.
Come get me, bitch. Possess me.
I scan the face. I remember it locked in forever for when I have power one day. It's not now, but one day I will.
I would be honored if you'd possess me.
Dead. I'm not going to possess you. I'm going to hire someone to possess you.
No, you have to possess me.
No, you'll know. You'll be like, oh my God, Hayley sent this bitch to possess me. I can feel it.
As long as you send them. All right. I'm sorry for that whole lesson. Anyway, my
Don't be sorry. That was fun. I'm sorry. I interjected a lot.
Yeah, it's your right as a podcast host. My sources are theatlantic.com. The article is called Our First Public Parks, The Forgotten History of Cemeteries by Rebecca Greenfield, woodvalecemetery.com, the cemetery Wikipedia page, gazette.com, The Surprisingly Fascinating History of Burials and Cemeteries by Jennifer Molson, newworldencyclopedia.org, howstuffworks.com, nolaghost.com, joincake.com, 10 Fascinating Cemetery Superstitions from Around the World by Sam Teralt.
Whoa. So many sources.
I know.
So little time.
I know. I did a lot of research because I'm so smart.
All right. Are you guys ready for a couple more questions?
Yeah.
All right. So Kay asks, for all three of you, what is the biggest thing you've learned over the last 100 episodes? Could be about your lessons, about yourselves, or about podcasting in general. Great question, by the way.
That is a great question. I've learned that I can keep doing something, even though it's hard.
Consistency. No, that's great.
No, it's true. And it does. Actually, I learned that as long as you make something a routine, you can keep doing it and it doesn't feel like that big of a deal. Because if you had told me you're going to essentially write a paper, like a 6-page paper every week. I would be like, fuck you. But I learned that it becomes routine and you can do it. And I can do other things that are hard as long as I make them a routine.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the biggest thing I've learned is that you can essentially learn anything that you want to. You don't have to go to college to get a degree. You don't have to go to an institution officially and pay a bunch of money to learn things and to keep challenging your mind. We've researched over 100 topics now each in our miniature little baby experts. Not even experts.
Yeah, and I mean, the kind of research we do is not like what you would be doing at a university, but it's fun and we do learn things.
Yes, that is
Let's not
true.
conflate the two.
Well, I'm going to stand by what I
Okay,
was saying
that's
was
fine.
that you don't have to go to college to learn about things.
Oh yeah, you can
and
like
don't
keep
have
tickling your curiosity.
No, I think
throughout
she's
the
talking
rest
about
of
like
your
you don't
life.
have to go to college to learn how to podcast, right?
That's not what
No?
you're saying.
Well, I mean, you don't have. Yeah, I mean, that's true. That's not what I'm.
I misinterpreted it.
Yeah.
No, I was just saying you don't have to go to college. You don't have to rush into anything because we've learned so much about so many different things that like college can be a very useful tool, but not everyone has the money or wants to take out loans to go to college, which can be a lot. And I feel like I've just become an expert. I wouldn't say an expert in all the things because we just said that we, forget things from time to time.
Yeah.
But just that it's easy to go out and learn things. There's a wealth of knowledge online, and the internet is a tool, is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, if you want to learn things, you can learn things.
Yeah. And coming out of high school, I just felt like college was the only way to like deeply know something and know what I was talking about. But really experience for me and my own research using the internet has been one of the biggest tools.
Yeah. And it is fun. Like, I feel like a lot of times as professionals, and if I didn't have this podcast, I'd probably get in a rut where, it's hard to read every day. It's hard to just like Google things and follow your curiosities. But this has given us an avenue to do that. And I'm grateful to have it and have structure and like have that built into my week where I like research things I'm interested in. It's been really valuable to me and very enriching to my life.
Yeah. And I've gotten in a habit that like, I feel like Alec has taught me just like being around him that if you don't know something, Google it.
Alec is the best at that. And I'm always just like, if I don't like, I'm just like, I don't care.
I'm like, huh.
And Alec,
That's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah. Alec looks things up and it's something I really admire about him too.
Yeah, and I've started doing that. Like the simplest things today
Yeah.
it happened. Learning about like, I told Tommy that I think that our cat baby was teething. She's almost a year old now at this point, but I was like, I think she's teething. She keeps like wanting her whiskers rubbed, and he's like, I don't know. And I was like, no, I think she is. And kittens stop teething at about 3.5 to 4 months old. There you go.
So
Something
she's
I
not
know.
teething.
She's not teething. She just likes the pets.
Yeah.
But that's one thing that I've learned.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think just the how important accountability is that I think if any of us had a podcast doing it by ourselves, we would have missed a week by now.
Oh, for
but
sure.
the fact that all three of us love it so much and it just makes us do it every week that it's become this cool, consistent thing in our lives. And Dicey also asked what got Alec into podcasting. And so real quick, I had a podcast out in LA back in 2016 with my friends. We lived in Hollywood and we would just interview musicians and comedians. And then when I moved back to Memphis, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I was waiting tables and I went to a life coach and was like, I've got all these skills, but I don't know what to do. And at one point in this 6-week life coach program, we were in a cohort with a bunch of other people that didn't know what to do with their lives. And the life coach said, all right, raise your hand if you think Alec needs to do podcasting in life. And everyone in the room raised their hands. And I didn't know. I was like, how did you guys know that? And they're like, Alec, you won't shut up about it. So I was like, well, I guess I need to take that as a sign. And so I was like, I'm just going to do podcasting. That's going to be my thing. And it's been great. And I wrote down on like a vision statement a couple years ago, like, I want to make stuff that helps people laugh and learn. And then like a week later, I met Kat and Hayley. So think about what you want in life and kind of define that. And it's amazing how quickly you can find it.
Wow. Inspirational.
So inspirational.
Chills. It's true though.
I was just trying to
love
answer
that.
the question.
No, it sounds like we're teasing. We're not.
No, we're serious.
I'm jealous.
So serious. I wish I knew what I wanted to do.
Me too.
Do you guys want to hear some more questions?
Yeah, are there
Yeah,
more?
of course.
Dicey asks, when did Kat and Hayley start feeling comfortable recording and like they weren't new at this anymore?
Maybe I feel like episode like in the teens it happened.
Yeah, I was going
Like-
to say we started to get around like 10 or 15 more comfortable.
Yeah.
And then probably really got our footing between 15 and 20.
Yeah.
And then it was like the growth started to happen at the latter part of the first year.
Yeah, and I think like in the beginning we were getting like really drunk because we were so nervous, and it wasn't making for good content when you're really drunk. Obviously, you guys can hear that in this episode.
Yeah.
And then we started like not drinking so much, and it like I think for
we were
me
also in quarantine.
we were also in quarantine, but I think so we were in quarantine and it was weird. And then I think we started coming to the studio after quarantine, like the restrictions started lifting. And I think it was like a few episodes in there. I remember doing the Seattle Underground episode. And then like also The Bachelor and 19 Crimes. That one, like that I think is the episode where I started feeling like, okay, like this isn't so weird. We can do this.
Yeah, I really
Yeah.
love that episode.
Yeah.
I forgot about it.
Yeah.
But you saying that reminded me. I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Kay asks, would you encourage others to get into podcasting? If so, what would your first piece of advice be?
I think it depends on your goal. Honestly, like we went into it just wanting to do something fun and have like conversational. It's like, oh, great if like, people listen, great. If not, that's great too. Just something for us. Podcasting, I love that it can be a time capsule for us. I haven't gone back and listened to like our early episodes in a long time.
I don't know if I ever can.
I don't know if I can either. It's kind of cringy, but it's fun to think about. But it is very saturated right now. There's so many podcasts, it feels like. Everyone is starting a podcast, and it takes a lot more work than I thought it would. So it depends on like what your goal is, if you want to have guests on, if you want to put it out weekly, monthly.
I think if you're looking for a hobby, I would say go for it. What I love about doing it is I get to spend time researching and like scratching that like itch of learning something every week. And B, it's so nice to sit down with you face to face and have a conversation where we're not looking at our phones. There's no TV.
Yeah.
I just get to talk to you for 2 hours every week. And that I think is something really special that we don't always get. So if you have like a best friend or someone you want to start a podcast with, do it, and don't stress out about having to do it every week or having to build an audience. Just do it for fun and do what you like. I don't know. I think it's a great hobby. It's my favorite hobby, and I'm so glad I did it.
Yes. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I took the really like it's challenging at times point of view,
It
but
is.
you're totally right. It's
And like we put pressure on ourselves to produce something every week, but I don't think you have to do that. And if you have to think about your goals and what you want out of it. And I mean, if you want to make money off of it, yes, you have to do it every week. And yes, you have to like force yourself to do the work. But like if you just want like a fun hobby, you don't have to like, don't put pressure on yourself. Don't edit it. Like just make something creative.
just put it out there. Yeah. As long as you're doing and you're happy. Yeah. I love the creativity that you bring up in that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, in terms of podcasting feeling saturated, we always picture it as like there's so many podcasts. And right now there's 1 million active podcasts, but that's compared to 60 million active blogs. And blogs started about 15 years before podcasting. So if you think about it that way, podcasting could grow by 60% in the next 15 years. And then it would kind of reach somewhat of a saturation, maybe. But
Yeah.
we're really at the beginning, and 50 to 60% of Americans don't even know what a podcast is.
What?
That's
True.
crazy.
60%?
Yes.
That's crazy.
So just remember that if you want to start something, today's the day. And
Yeah.
that just think about how much joy it brings an audience. If you just focus on the joy of serving an audience, then it takes the pressure off you needing to be perfect and everything.
Yeah, and I look at our like downloads and like even on a bad day, I'm like, wow, like 100 people heard our voices today.
Yeah,
and
they
like,
chose
that's special
to listen to us. Yeah, thank you for saying that, Alec.
Yeah.
I didn't realize because for us it's like podcasts are what I'm listening to 80% of the time.
Yeah, I don't listen to music. I listen to podcasts.
Yeah. So it just feels saturated, especially like when your friends are starting podcasts and having multiple people reach out about like what equipment should we get and this and that, going to you, Alec, for advice. But I can see how, our new age group, the 25 to 35, is not most people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And 95% of podcasts die before they're 7 episodes in. So
Wow.
don't overestimate others and underestimate yourself. There's a lot of people that want to do it and they're not doing it. So then when you actually do it, you're like, wow, there's actually not that much competition.
When you do it.
Yeah. But I think Dean Harris, one of my real estate clients, is on here.
Hey, Dean.
Hi.
I'm looking into real estate.
Yeah, hire
Not
me.
buying, but I think I could make a good agent. Sales background, marketing, training.
Just becomes a job interview.
All right. We are almost 2.5 hours in.
Oh,
so
Jesus Christ. I'm
She's
so
thick.
sorry. We're going to have to edit this, Alec. You're going to have to
I'm
edit
not
this.
editing this.
Yes,
This
you
is-
are. You're going to have to
You-
take out some of the weird
you
shit
have
I
to.
said.
and Dean says Alec is the best. We love his help. Podcasts are the way to go. I
Yes.
agree.
Yep.
All right.
Are we ready to close out this learning
I
journey?
think we're ready. Well, thank you all for bringing us here. We really could not have done it without your encouragement. Thank you for all of you who watched live and wrote in with comments. We love you so much.
So much, my little learny wormies.
Warms my cold, cold heart. Thank you. And, as always, if you enjoyed this, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Tell a friend, follow us on social media, check out our Patreon. We promise we will continue posting there. And thank you again. Thank you for getting us here. We're so happy and we love you. And thank you. And 3, 2, 1, class dismissed.